I'm just gonna give it a moment and let everyone come in from the waiting room.
Jasmine.
Hi.
She has such a strict hold on us that we were, I mean, like we literally stayed in our bedrooms. Getting in trouble was looking out the
Slayer with a hot mic.
Sorry.
That's okay. If everyone can make sure they're muted. If you're presenting, please make sure your audio and visual is working.
One, two, check.
Richie, how are you?
I'm all right.
Tomas, if you can unshare your screen. Thank you.
Says.
All right. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is March 14th, 2023. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I begin with some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. Thank you, Jasmine, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. I would like to introduce my fellow commissioners. Today, we're joined by Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Darlene Lombos, and Commissioner John Smith.
Thank you. And my name is Jasmine Nguyen, and I am the Cannabis Board Manager. We are also joined by Allison Quinn, who is the Project Manager for the BCB. I will begin by reading each item into the record as they appear on the agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the proposal before us. The first three items are amendments to already approved licensees, so they will have 5 minutes each to present, followed by questions from the board members. Then we will move to new license applications, where each applicant will have 10 minutes each to present to the BCB, followed by questions from the board members. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives, followed by the general public. If you wish to testify, please use the link that Allison put in the chat. If you have already signed up, you do not have to do it again. Additionally, you may use the chat function to request to testify as well. Please wait until the matter in which you would like to speak is called before requesting to testify. Do not use the chat function to provide testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation when giving testimony. Testimony will be limited to 2 minutes, at which time you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. Quick housekeeping matter, our voting meeting will take place next Tuesday, March 21st at 1 p.m. instead of Wednesday. The record will be kept open until Monday, March 20th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give more weight to spoken testimony than it does written testimony. We will begin with the first item on the agenda. The applicant is Core Empowerment LLC, Seed. The license premise is 401A Center Street, Jamaica Plain. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary. The license request is to amend the license to allow for delivery of recreational cannabis through a licensed marijuana carrier. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Tomas Gonzalez and Chris February.
Okay, so again, you'll have 5 minutes to present. You may share your screen and begin.
All right. Well, thank you, Chairwoman, and members of the BCB. Tomas Gonzalez on behalf of Core Empowerment DBA Seed. I am accompanied by Chris February from Your Green Package, and we'll be going through a presentation. So Seed will ensure that all marijuana and marijuana products are delivered directly from 401A Center Street. So, to private residents of qualifying customers by a third-party licensed company. All delivery vehicles and delivery procedures will follow security requirements as required under 935 CRM 500. Oh, it's not moving. There we go. We will be using a third-party technology platform. So we'll be using Dutchie, which is our current POS. So in this process, in the ordering process, customers will go to our website. Customers will then select the products that they choose or prefer to purchase. And then we'll select a delivery window. Customers will then upload a government-issued ID that's pre-verified on our site per CCC requirements, and customers will enter their private residence and meet the qualifications required by the CCC. So in the delivery procedures or in the driver procedures, there are 2 agents from the third-party courier. They'll arrive at seed in a state-approved vehicle with their state-issued agent IDs. One agent of the company remains in the vehicle while the other one comes inside to receive the manifest and sent out the deliveries that have been packed for the day. The C staff will confirm the manifest from the third-party agent to ensure that each individual order has its appropriate products packaged and accurate information is listed on the label and the receipt. And all other logistical steps will be provided by the third-party courier. The third-party agent notifies customers that they've arrived at the residence and greets them at their home. The third-party agents verify their IDs to ensure that they are the person and verify that they're 21 and over and that they are the actual individual that they said that they are. And because after that point, after all of the things have been verified, customers will receive their packages and the receipt from the agent. What we expect in terms of volume is 20 to 30 deliveries a day. Most deliveries taking place Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. We will be utilizing a pre-existing loading zone to ease the process for loading the vehicles and not take up any space that's already in the neighborhood. And in terms of cash handling and transportation, our goal, and Chris could speak to this, but we obviously will take cash at some points, but our goal is to make it as online as possible. So using a cashless ATM processor when we go out is our key sort of motive and way of processing the payments. But they will be cash events in some instances, and so there will be a lock safe in the facility, in the vehicle. And that is it for our presentation. It really is pretty straightforward. We're just trying to provide an additional service for the folks in the neighborhood and in the city of Boston. I don't know, Chris, if you wanted to jump in with anything additional.
Yep, that is your 5 minutes if you want to say something.
Then we are good. Thank you, Jasmine.
You're welcome. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. My one question is where they pick up the product, is it a different entrance than where the public goes in?
Yes.
Okay, I've been there. So can you describe for me where that entrance is?
So when you enter the location, if you're a customer, you'll be at the orange doors. If you follow that, the facade of the building all the way down to the end where it hits the Whole Foods parking lot, there's an additional door there that we do deliveries in that we've been operating since day one from, and that's where we would handle all of the deliveries for this.
Okay, and on the core empowerment side, on the other side of the door, like how does it work? The driver pulls up, knocks on the door or whatever. Do they have a scheduled time?
We know. Yeah, we know in advance that they're going to be coming. There'll be someone there ahead of the delivery team who will package all of the product, make sure all the manifest and invoice are set, and we do an exchange with the driver at that point. So the 10 to 30 different packages for the day, he will individually accept each and every one of them. So it'll roughly take about an hour or so to do that transaction. And then they'll take all of the product or the delivery packages they have for the day and go out with them. So they come in through the left side of the building, which is mainly our operational side where we take all deliveries where our vault is.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
I did, but now I believe Seed was one of the dispensaries that was already in the licensing process before we started, right? Okay, because I was looking to see if on his host agreement, if they told the neighborhood they weren't going to do deliveries. So, but that was before, so that would have been my only question.
Yeah, I don't believe it's on their host community agreement. We can verify after, but yeah, it was pre-BCB, so.
Yes, pre us. Okay, nope, then I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith,
Thanks, Jasmine. No, I don't at this time.
Commissioner Lambos? No question. All right, we will move to elected officials or their representatives. Is anyone here from ONS to speak on this proposal?
Hi, yes, I'm speaking on behalf of my colleague, Tiffany Caballero. At this time, we'd like to defer to the board. They had one meeting with overwhelming support. The only concern seemed to be that people brought up how dense the area is and parking would be hard to come by. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representatives? No, we'll move to those who signed up using the chat link. Allison, did anyone sign up to speak on this proposal?
No, Jasmine, we don't have anyone signed up for this proposal.
Okay. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this proposal? Seeing no one, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. The next item we have, the applicant is East Boston Bloom LLC. The license premise is 71 Maverick Square, East Boston. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The license request is for a change of ownership interest and to use the DBA. Who's present on behalf of the licensee? Anyone present on behalf of East Boston Bloom?
Yes, Oleg Spectrov's here.
And this is David.
Okay.
This is David Ulian as well. We were supposed to have Sierra Grant as well as on behalf of East Boston Blue. I'm not sure if she's here.
Do you want to proceed without her, or you want to come back?
Or if Julius Sokol is also here. Julius, are you here?
No, Julius is not here, but I'm joining for Julius.
Okay.
Oleg Spectrov.
We are ready to proceed. I'm not sure if Sierra would like to be here or not. I assume she would. I can try to contact her.
We have another amendment. We can go to the next one and then come back if you want to do that, or if you want to move forward, you can.
Financial aid offices. So tell me the building that the finance.
Let's go to the next one and I'll try to contact Sierra.
Okay, so we'll do
Okay.
it. All right. So next we will move to the applicant is Rooted In LLC. The license premise is 195 Dudley Street, Roxbury. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. And the license request is for a change of corporate name from Rooted In LLC to Rooted In Roxbury LLC. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Brian Keith.
Hi, Brian. All right, you have 5 minutes.
Cool, thank you. So this is a very straightforward request. Jasmine just mentioned it. If there's any questions about us or our background, I do have a presentation that I can refer to, but I think that it won't be required, for this request. Currently, we have one entity, Rooted In LLC, and that entity has 2 HCAs that are associated with it. An HCA 331 Newberry Street that's active and open and running, and then an HCA at 195 Dudley Street that's been issued an ACA, but we're still working on the other parts of the process. So our goal today is basically to make the request to change our name and then associate the Roxbury LLC at 195 Dudley Street with this new name and this new entity, and then leaving 331 Newberry Street with the current HCA that has, leaving it in place. So basically just separating the two existing HCAs into two separate entities. All of the owners will remain the same. Myself, Joanne Keith, who's on the line, Salman Chowdhury, who's on the line, and then Rokia Begum. So all the owners will remain the same. Our social equity status with the city and the state will remain the same for all locations. So there would be no material changes. It would just be the change in the entity so that we can separate the HCAs from each other. So with that, I will give back 3 minutes, I guess, and open it up to any questions that the board may have.
All right. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
I do. Thanks for joining us and for that explanation. Could you give us an update about this? I know you have an HCA here and you're appealing it to the ZBA. Can you give us an update?
Sure. So we were approved by this board, I don't know, it feels like 10 years ago for 195 Dudley Street. And shortly after we went before the ZBA and we were denied. Rightfully or wrongfully, whatever, we'll put that to the side, but we were denied by the ZBA. And that denial expired in October of 2022 because the denial is good for a year. So now we're at the point where we're interested in proceeding again with ZBA approval. So what we have to do now, we've spoken with the ZBA's lawyer as well as the secretary, Stephanie, at the ZBA, and she informed us that we would have to, get a new refusal letter, do a new community meeting, and basically just go through the process from the beginning of the ZBA.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm all set. He's just making the rooted Roxbury reflect Roxbury, and the one on Newberry is gonna just stay the regular rooted LLC. I got it.
Correct, yep.
Commissioner Smith?
Thanks, Jasmine. No, I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Lobos?
No questions. Thanks, Jasmine.
Anybody here to speak on behalf of this proposal, beginning with elected officials or their representatives? Seeing no one, Allison, did anyone sign up to speak on this proposal?
We don't have anyone signed up for this proposal.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this proposal? All right. Seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
We'll go back to East Boston Bloom.
Hi, how are you? Sarah Grant is here now. Sorry for the delay.
No problem. Already read the matter into the record, so you guys can proceed.
Great. Yeah, so I know we have some slides, but I'm happy to just go over an overview of what we're asking for today. So essentially, we're looking for a change of control to add Oleg Spektorov to the East Boston Bloom license. Mr. Spektorov is just obtaining a 50% ownership of Bloom Market Garden, which is then a 50% owner of East Boston Bloom. So the licensee is owned 50% by Maverick Dispensary, who the individuals there are Luis and Steve Vasco, whose ownership interests are remaining unchanged with this proposal. And then also Bloom Market Garden, which is making the request. So the Oleg would be added. And then the second request is just to add the doing business as name of Boutique Cannabis. As you may recall, East Boston Bloom predates the Boston Cannabis, and it was awarded an HCA back in 2019. The licensee is getting very close to final license now. So we're sort of in the last steps here, and we're just looking for approval on these two last requests.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Is this in preparation of opening? I know you've had a HCA there since 2019.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily like in preparation to opening, but it is, I think and David Julian, who represents Prime Time, is also on the call if he wants to add in, but it is sort of just adding Oleg, who will be, representative of Prime Time and having an ownership interest and helping to make decisions on the license. So we decided that, it was realized that he really needed to be added to the license as well.
Do you guys have any date that you're expecting to open?
Yeah, so a final license would be expected at the April CCC meeting, which I believe is scheduled for April 13th. Yeah, so we are expecting a final license. We've gone through the post-provisional license inspection. After the final license, there's just two last steps, which is the post-final license inspection and then the commence operations notice. So the goal is really to be open by the end of April, or to get that commence operations notice and be open by the end of April.
Okay, thanks so much. I don't have any other questions.
Great.
Commissioner Holmes?
I'm all set. The chairwoman actually asked one of the questions I was interested in, so I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thanks, Jasmine. No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Wongels?
No questions. Thanks, Jasmine.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this proposal, beginning with elected officials or their representatives? Seeing no one, Allison, did anyone sign up?
We don't have anyone signed up to speak to this proposal, no.
All right. Is there anyone that would like to speak on behalf of this proposal? Seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will now move to our new license applications. The first application we have, the applicant is DB Delivery Mass LLC, DBA Doobie. The proposed license premise is 1 Mount Vernon Street, Dorchester. The license type is a marijuana delivery operator license. The proposed hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday through Sunday. This is an equity applicant. The date of the initial application was November 29th, 2022, and the date of filing with inspection service was November 2022. Before we begin with the date of the community was January 10th, 2023, and there was a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Before we begin with the presentation, I will have Shakia Scott from OEOI to give the equity certification.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, everyone. Our office was able to certify DB Delivery Mass LLC, DBA Doobie, as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicants Erica and Justin Kennedy. Mrs. and Mr. Kennedy are owners, and together they are 51% beneficial interest holders of DB Delivery Mass LLC, DBA Doobie, meeting the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mrs. and Mr. Kennedy both meet the following criteria: a person who has resided in an area of disproportionate impact as defined by the CCC for at least 5 of the past 10 years. Both Ms. and Mr. Kennedy submitted copies of their lease, their marriage license, their driver's licenses, copies of financial statements establishing that they have resided in both New Bedford and Wareham, Mass. from 2013 to the present, and all addresses were verified as designated areas of disproportionate impact pursuant to the CCC guidelines. They both also meet a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. They both self-identify as Black and provided their driver's license. A person whose annual income is set at or below 100% of the area median income. Both Mrs. and Mr. Kennedy provided their joint 2021 federal income tax return, which reported a taxable income below 100% of the area median income of the city in which they currently reside, which is Wareham. Are there any further questions about this certification?
Thank you, Shakia. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
My name is Paul Feldman. I just want to make sure that Erica is on, Erica Kennedy. There she
I
is.
am here. I am here. How are you all this afternoon?
Is it just you two? Or?
We also have Joseph Rubin on the line.
Okay.
And I believe that we also have Catherine O'Shea from Fuss and O'Neill, who performed our traffic study.
Okay, perfect. So you have 10 minutes to present. You may share your screen and begin.
Okay, wonderful. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yep, good to go.
Okay, fantastic. I'll just put it in full view and we'll get going. Again, my name is Erica Kennedy and good afternoon to you all. And I am the co-founder of Doobie, Massachusetts. We are a commission certified economic empowerment applicant. As a minority woman and locally owned marijuana delivery operator, we are so excited to be here presenting to you all today as we work on the of Boston. I speak for our entire team when I say the Doobie difference is an approach to cannabis delivery that delights and empowers consumers and is focused on positive community impact. The proposed facility is sited at 1 Mount Vernon Street, Dorchester. The facility offers 30+ interior parking spots. On-street parking will be strictly prohibited. As the marijuana delivery operator, we will never be open to the public. Doobie is committed to the safety of our agents, customers, neighbors, and the public. As a recreational marijuana delivery operator, we will only complete sales to individuals 21 years of age and older. On a continual basis, we will work with local and state public safety officials, inspectional services, and license granting authorities. As parents and as members of the community, safety and security are our top priorities. We will have an on-site security guard during operating hours. The facility will also feature 2 hardwired and monitored security systems that feature video surveillance. Product, cash, and product waste will all be kept in limited access vault areas. The proposed facility will never be open to the public. All vehicles. I'm sorry.
Sorry, that was someone who unmuted themselves.
Okay. All vehicles used for the home delivery of cannabis by Doobie will be leased or owned by the company. All vehicles must be staffed with 2 agents, multiple GPS systems, 2 safes, and several strategically placed cameras. Delivery agents are strictly prohibited from carrying a firearm and must wear an active body camera at all times. In addition, vehicle locations are always monitored and delivery routing is always randomized through logistics software. Proposed delivery hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Doobie will seek to begin operations with 4 to 8 delivery vehicles using a combination of fuel-efficient, hybrid, and electric automobiles. Delivery vehicles are similar to small SUVs or crossovers. All agents must undergo training to ensure that they have the knowledge to spot a fake ID. All customers of Doobie must be 21 years of age or older and present valid identification in order to receive their order. Individuals must go through a multi-step age verification process. Any person found to knowingly or unknowingly provide a minor with cannabis from Doobie will be immediately reported to the proper authorities and banned from using our services. Our team is so excited to be working with the McCormick Civic Association to host a community art contest. All participants must be 21 years of age or older. We look forward to working with a Boston-based artist to bring this community project to life. The mural will not feature the name Doobie and it will not include
Does that
any
change our opinion?
or cannabis-related references. Based on the results of the traffic and parking analysis performed by Fuss and O'Neill, the proposed development of 1 Mount Vernon Street will have no significant impact on traffic operations within the study area. We are committed to engaging with the community on a regular and consistent basis. Doobie hosted its community outreach meeting on January 10th, 2023, and has also engaged with the McCormick Civic Association on several occasions, receiving a letter of support from the Civic Association that was submitted to the BCB. Pending local and state approval, Doobie looks forward to joining the McCormick Civic Association and working with its members, not only on the mural, but on future neighborhood projects. We are aware of the buffer zone conflict. The marijuana delivery operator license type does not interfere with the retail marijuana or medical dispensary business model. Doobie and Ethos both provide a service to legal customers, but we provide that service in a very different and distinct way. Doobie will never be open to the public, and customers are strictly prohibited from entering Doobie to make on-site purchases. Doobie will not generate any customer, pedestrian, vehicle, bike, or public transportation traffic regarding our customers. As a delivery operation, we have a very different effect on the community. We do not have the same parking or transportation issues. The only individuals coming to our facility are employees and vendors. Part of the reason to establish a buffer zone is so that the community does not become aggregated. Delivery and retail operations are materially different as the two businesses do not function the same. The proposed site of 1 Mount Vernon Street is within an 11 to 15-minute walk of public transportation stations. The facility features 6,594 square feet of interior parking, as well as a bicycle rack, EV charging zone, and off-street loading space. We will never have a vehicle park on the street. We are committed to the health and happiness of our team. We are a flat company, and we value the unique perspectives that our team offers, and we encourage our team to share their ideas on how we can elevate both our work and consumer experiences. Doobie will prioritize the hiring of City of Boston residents, minorities, women, and individuals with nonviolent criminal records. 51% of all agents will be residents of the City of Boston or one of the 28 remaining communities designated by the Commission as being disproportionately harmed by the war on drugs, as well as those with nonviolent cannabis records. Doobie is seeking 60% of its workforce to be minorities and women. Agents will make no less than $22 per hour, combination salary and tips. All agents will have access to health, vision, and dental coverage through United Healthcare with a monthly company contribution. Maternity and paternity leave are available through PFML. In addition, PTO, paid mental health days, and paid volunteer time off is offered to all non-salaried employees. We respect and value the unique differences of our employees. Doobie is committed to creating a safe and tolerant work environment and shall further provide an employee handbook and training manual to reinforce internal work policies. Doobie shall implement a zero tolerance policy for blatant and/or veiled discriminatory acts, conscious or unconscious bias, and microaggressions. Doobie strives to be reflective of the communities that we establish in. Doobie will work towards having a 75% diverse workforce. On the 4th anniversary of an agent's full-time employment, they will be offered an equity share in Doobie. Our team is committed to amplifying the voices of marginalized persons and helping our agents to feel seen. A Doobie Mosaic is a monthly calendar that recognizes observed holidays by Doobie employees. These mosaics are displayed in a general area of the facility, accessible by all employees. The mosaic reinforces Doobie's founders' commitment to recognizing the diverse workforce of the company. We recognize that being a part of the Massachusetts cannabis industry is a privilege. We are uniquely positioned to drive consumer-based traffic to our site and further support small businesses directly and indirectly related to cannabis. We will advertise Boston-based small businesses and artists and provide them with visibility on trydoobie.com. We will prioritize the advertisement of women and minority-owned businesses. At Doobie, we have made it our goal to go the extra mile. We have found that that road needs a bit more traveling. The Doobie Mobile makes community engagement possible. The Doobie Mobile roams around the city of Boston with a Doobie Street Team. The Doobie Street Team participates in food giveaways and community-based events. The Doobie Mobile shall perform a minimum of 6 random acts of kindness per year. Each act will be valued at no less than $1,000 per occurrence. Thank you so much for your time today, and for considering Doobie. I apologize for that. And we're happy to open the floor to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Erica. And we'll start with Chairwoman Joyce. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
Sorry, yeah. Yes, I do have questions. Could you confirm for all of us what your operating hours are going to be? I think what we have in front of us is different than what you shared with us today. We have Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9, then Friday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9. That's correct? You're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. That is correct. So we will operate Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Those will be our delivery hours. And then Friday through Sunday, our delivery hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. And I should probably wait for my fellow Commissioner Lombos to ask this question, but I'm going to just ask because I don't understand the statement about the $22 an hour. Does that mean that's the maximum they can get with tips, or can they get tips above $22 an hour?
That's the minimum that an agent would receive. We guarantee that everybody's pay would be at least $22 an hour with a combination of salary and tips, but they can of course make more than $22 per hour.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course,
any other questions?
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
I do. I'm a little confused about the Doobie, the Doobie Mobile, and it going around, and it's not supposed to have your logo or anything on it. So give me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So it is not, it's not branded. It'll be similar to that of like a VW bus, without our logo attached to it. And we currently have, are doing something similar in the town of Wareham. So there was, one day where we were celebrating our launch and we wanted to share a slice of that success with the community. So we partnered with our friends over at Fernway, and we provided free large pizzas to residents of the community of Wareham. It's just random acts of kindness to try to bring a smile to people's faces and to really get out there and be able to engage in the community. We also participated in the Boston Reads the Book Festival, where any sales that came about that day from anybody who used a particular code at that event, we made a donation to a book program to try to clear the wish list of some prisoners for reading books as well as coloring books. So it's just really random acts of kindness that we try to go around and perform in the communities that we establish in.
So does your staff wear like a Doobie shirt? I mean, so
Yeah.
I don't think we would allow that either, though. That's still advertising, if I'm not mistaken, Chairwoman. I don't know if they would be able. That's why I'm trying. I love the idea. I just don't see, or maybe I'm confused at how you can do those random acts of violence and let people know that you're a productive person in the community, but not wear something advertising your business. So I don't know. That's where I'm confused. I like the idea, but I don't know if you can do that, and I could be wrong. I don't know.
I totally understand. Our street team would be wearing uniforms similar to that of what our delivery drivers wear. And we have been able to implement it we have a location in Wareham, Massachusetts right now, and we have been able to implement it in Wareham through the state.
Okay, all right. So this is all new for us here. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying
Absolutely.
to figure it all out. Sounds amazing.
Absolutely. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. It's a program, like I say, that we're super excited about, and the community has really seemed to, to have taken to it.
Okay, well, that answered it. Thank you.
Of course.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions?
Yes, thanks, Jasmine. Ms. Kennedy. So it's $22 an hour for everybody, right? General manager, assistant inventory manager, driver experience agents, yeah? That's the minimum?
That's the minimum across the board.
Okay, so none of them are on salary, it's all hourly.
We do, some employees will be salaried, management, things of the, our inventory manager, but drivers and DX are, all hourly, and they make a minimum of $22 per hour.
Okay. And then you talked about, I'm gonna go back on the small business and local artist support.
Of course.
The metric, you're highlighting small businesses. How? Just explain how that's gonna work.
Absolutely. So similar to how we kicked it off in Wareham, we went through it, local businesses, different restaurants, people who offered experiences in the town, and we highlighted them on our website. But we also asked that small businesses and artists reach out to Doobie directly to be featured on the website. So this is something that we can advertise through our social media platforms. We can also run an advertisement in the Globe to just make people aware of this program that we're offering. We want to be able to drive as much support to small businesses and artists as we possibly can through our channel. It's all about sharing our space.
And your metric is you're driving people there, and it's how much people are participating.
Absolutely. So how much people are participating, and then we're also able to provide metrics directly to those small businesses and those artists to let them know how many click-throughs from our site have gone to their site.
Okay. And the $1,000 per occurrence of random acts of kindness, is that actually, are you giving, explain that a little bit.
Absolutely. So for example, with the pizza activity that we did in the town of Wareham, we didn't cap it. We wanted everybody, as many people as possible, to be able to enjoy it. But if it was a situation where we were going out and say perchance we were doing a food distribution, perhaps turkeys or something like that around one of the holidays, we wouldn't purchase less than $1,000 worth of turkeys to be able to be given out in the community.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Commissioner Lombos, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you so much. I have a few questions. I might have missed this, but how many workers are you planning to have?
Absolutely.
And full-time, part-time, can you break that down?
So we're looking to start with 16 to 24 employees to be able to properly staff all of our delivery runs. Of that, I would say that our goal would be for most employees to be full-time. That's what we found so far in our operations in Wareham. I would say that we'd be looking for at least 75% full-time employment, but we do have part-time, driver and DX positions available.
And can you tell me, in terms of the Mosaic holidays, how you plan to determine them, and then what happens if it sounds like they're going to be based on the employees, so if you have
Absolutely.
16 to 24, how that's going to be determined, and then if there is turnover each year, how those will be determined?
Absolutely. So with the Doobie Mosaic, when employees are onboarded, we'll ask them to participate in a survey, which is completely optional. It's not something that they're required to do. So if there's a particular holiday that's cultural, or that they celebrate, or if it's a globally recognized day, perhaps there's a globally recognized day for afros, things like that. We just want to make sure that we're making our employees aware, and that they have an opportunity to celebrate, the diversity that's within our company. So that's, again, how we get a lot of those days. I also go online and do lots of research to make sure that we're pulling all sorts of different days that, we think our employees, it would just be great, not only for them to celebrate, but also to learn about.
And are these holidays like days off? So
No,
they're
they're
just
not.
celebrations of holidays.
Just celebrations of holidays, and helping, bring awareness to the diversity that we have in our company.
I see. Okay,
in the
sorry, I
community.
thought that these were connected to days off. Okay, and then in terms of the, so the $22 an hour, how will the tip system work?
So it is a pooled tip system where
Mhm.
only those eight, the drivers and the DX agents are participating in that pooled system. Management, ownership, nobody, that side of it, the salaried employees in particular do not have access to the pooled tips.
Okay, and then it sounds like you have a business in Wareham already. It's a delivery service as well?
We do. We're super excited to be currently operating in our hometown of Wareham, which was a huge accomplishment for us. We received our EE in 2018, and we just heads down, really just worked as hard as we possibly could. And we made our first delivery on May 1st of 2022. So we're
Wow.
super excited to potentially be coming to Boston as our second home. My husband, Justin Kennedy, grew up in Roxbury, right on Lambert Ave. So to be able to come full circle and be established in both of our hometowns, it would mean a whole lot to us.
Great, thank you. Can you just give me a sense of what the workforce looks like in Wareham then? Your goals, have you met your other goals in terms of diversity and all that, and retention and recruitment?
Absolutely, absolutely. So upon our licensure, we were almost at, I believe, a 90% rate in terms of diversity, which has been really huge for us. We're super proud of that. So we have been able to meet our goals in terms, like I said, in terms of diversity for our current location, and making sure that our hiring focus here is also on town of Wareham residents, as well as folks who also reside in one of the 28 other disproportionately harmed communities here. So that's been huge for us.
Awesome. And just a last question, what's the starting salary, or what's the starting pay rate, and how have tips worked in Wareham?
Our agents have been very happy with the tips that they are currently receiving in Wareham. We find that we have extremely generous customers, so that has been absolutely wonderful for them. And then in terms of salary, we ensure that, wherever we're establishing, it's not just a basic living wage, but that everybody is able to thrive and succeed in that area. And I want to say that our inventory salary, which is probably one of the lowest level salaries, base salaries right now, is starting at around 50,000, market rate depending on the position.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Kennedy.
course.
Thanks for answering all my questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Hey, yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ross Cochran with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to defer to the board's judgment at this time, but to provide some context, our office held an abutter meeting on January 10th. While abutters appreciated that this wouldn't be a dispensary and that the use would change, there were concerns about an increase of congestion from delivery drivers on the network of one-way streets. Other concerns expressed were the potential impact on property values and an increase in antisocial activity in the area. As for the Civic Association, the local civic group's membership did vote to support this proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representatives? None. We'll move to those who signed up via the link. Allison, did anyone sign up?
We do. We have one person, Mr. Ben Murphy. Mr. Murphy, please state your name and address for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Murphy. I'm with the Newmarket Business Improvement District. Well, the location proposed is about 100 feet just outside of our district. After hearing everything that was said today, we would like to defer to the board's judgment at this time.
And Jasmine, we do have one other person who just indicated that they were from Dorchester and that they were listening and they want to provide testimony, but they're not clear on which one. John Flagg, if you wanted to provide testimony for this particular applicant, please proceed.
I don't think he's on. Did he sign up in the link or?
In the link, yes. So that's all I got for you for DB delivery.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this proposal?
If I may, Paul Feldman, I'm an attorney on behalf of the applicant. I just wanted the commission to appreciate, the board to appreciate that after receiving the neighborhood comments about concerns about traffic, the traffic study was commissioned. So that was the traffic study was commissioned, that work was done, that work verified that there is, particularly because of this operation not being open to the public, virtually no impact on traffic on Mount Vernon Street. There's a total of 12 trips entering and 12 trips exiting, during the operational hours. So that traffic study was commissioned, was done by a traffic engineer with the support of the city of Boston, actually providing some financial support to do the traffic study, specifically to address the concern that we heard at the community meeting in January.
Hi, my name is Julia O'Connor. I'm a resident in the area. I don't know if it's okay for me to jump in and speak. I'm newer to these meetings.
Yeah, but if you could just state your address for the record.
Sure, it's 188 Boston Street.
Okay, you have.
Thank you. I was unable to join the community session earlier, but I would agree with the feedback. And while we appreciate the traffic, study that was done, there already is a large amount of dense traffic along that street, especially given the bridge construction that's going on close by, that the Mount Vernon Street tends to back up, especially along Boston Street. And because there's another dispensary, a block away, we definitely want to be and re-highlight the concern around property valuation in the area. I understand that they are different in nature, and actually I think there's a lot of community benefits to what Doobie and Erica, what you've highlighted, but I do just want to reiterate the concern around having two places right in the area in a dense and sort of little bit of a nice community around the Polish Triangle, and how another property in this area will continue to impact the neighborhood.
Thank you, Julia. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this proposal? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. All right, the next applicant we have is Surf's Up Cannabis Venture LLC, DBA Surf's Up Cannabis Co. The proposed premise is 770 Galvin Boulevard, Dorchester. License type is the co-located medical and recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday. This is a non-equity applicant. The application was filed November 7th, 2022. The filing with Inspectional Services took place on June 1st, 2022, and the community meeting took place January. Hi, can you make sure you're muted? We can hear you. We're getting feedback. Joan. The community meeting took place January 18th, 2023, and there was a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Who was present on behalf of the licensee? Anyone here from Surf's Up?
Hi, Jasmine. Michelle Foley is here, and we have Richard Parsons and Jay Humans as well.
Okay, perfect. So you will have 10 minutes. You may begin. Share your screen and begin.
Richie, are you on by chance? Can you unmute?
I'm all set.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm Richie Parsons. My family has lived in Adams Village since 1916. I'm one of the co-managers of Surf's Up. proposed at 770 Galvin Boulevard. Next slide, please. We are a highly experienced retail team committed to compliance and community. I was retail manager and district manager for Newbury Comics for 33 years, and I'm currently managing a successful medical marijuana dispensary in Needham. One I might add with a perfect compliance record. Michelle Foley, who joins me today, is our co-founder and operations manager. Michelle has successfully run multiple high-end cannabis and high-end retail locations, both in and around Boston, and also has an impeccable record for safety and compliance. We recognize that communities want to work with people that have a proven track record, that have deep knowledge in this space, and that have hands-on approach. We all believe in the work very deeply, and we understand that neighbors that look to us to develop an extremely professional facility that complements the community. But we also recognize that being an experienced team is not enough. You'll hear us repeat it a lot, but good companies do not exist without great relationships with the communities. We want the neighbors we serve to understand that they have a reliable partner, someone who listens, responds, and cares for the community. So this is what we'd like to bring to the table: the integrity and experience of our team, as well as our commitment to the community as a responsible neighbor. Next slide, please. Our team has successfully managed 5 high-end cannabis retail facilities in Massachusetts, with locations in Boston, Cambridge, Needham, Watertown, and Somerville. Michelle hired me in Needham 5 years ago, and I'm really proud of the dispensary's perfect incident-free track record, our relationship with Needham law enforcement and the community, as well as our setting and maintaining the gold standard of compliance with the CCC. In fact, the CCC often used the Needham facility as a training for newer inspectors as a model of a tight ship. And what you'll hear over and over again is that stores under our management have really set the gold standard for cannabis operations in Massachusetts. Next slide, please. Oh, a little about me and my connection to the neighborhood. My family lived on 4 Westmoreland Street from 1916 to 2016. My dad worked at the Supreme Market when he was 18 years old in 1936. He also ran the CCD program at St. Brendan's for 25 years. My 4 brothers and I were all altar boys, and me and my brother Moose sold newspapers outside of the church on Sundays. Most recently, my brother John completed refurbishing the statues on the altar. And my brother Billy has worked at Florian Hall for decades. As a teenager, when I was working in Feline's basement, I wrote a song for my band called No Surfing in Dorchester Bay, which became known throughout the neighborhood. I sold the 45s at Gerard's, now Landmark, and Casale's, and that's where we get Surf's Up cannabis from, that little bit of history. I say this all not to somehow impress you with local knowledge and law, but because I want you to understand just how much I care about this community, my home. So let's face it, this little part of Boston, the idea of legal cannabis still sounds somehow foreign and is viewed with a certain level of stigma. As a medical patient myself, I know that stigma firsthand. But I also know that my family's deep ties and relationships mean even for those who may disagree with the product, they will never question my commitment to the community or that I will do what I think is right by them and the neighborhood. Slide 7, please. We have done the work and the outreach. I spent every weekend for months getting into the community, meeting people, knocking on doors, and responding to people's questions and concerns. With that, we have received support from the Cedar Grove Civic Association with a vote of 61% in favor of the project, a letter of support from District Councilor Frank Baker, and more than 60 residents and neighbors throughout the neighborhood, including one of the site's direct abutters. Slide 9, please. Some of the highlights of 770 Galvin. The site is an existing high-volume, commercially zoned retail store that previously hosted a busy Verizon store and the regional COVID-19 testing site. And as you can see here, the site is located adjacent to Neponset Circle with ample access to multimodal public transportation. Next slide, please. The site is home to what would represent the largest availability of dedicated parking for any cannabis establishment in Boston. The site directly abuts another commercial retail tenant, AutoZone, and the site has significant buffering to the surrounding residential area, which cannot be directly accessed off Galvin Boulevard due to the one-way egress on Clover Street. This means there's no potential for the site to generate vehicular traffic in the residential neighborhood. Slide 14, please. This proposal meets all siting requirements, except for the presence of an existing non-retail delivery-only marijuana facility at 1170 Morrissey Boulevard, approximately 3/10 of a mile away as you would walk or drive. This is important as the general public, regardless of age, is prohibited from entering or otherwise accessing the delivery-only facility. It's also noteworthy that Zip Run, the facility I'm speaking about, was approved for delivery only and pledged here to you on December 8th, 2021, it would never pursue a retail license. Finally, Zip Run is separated from Surf's Up by 4 lanes of high-speed traffic, metal barriers, I-93 overpass, and Neponset Circle. Slide 16, please, and Michelle.
Thank you, Richie, and thank you to the commission for having us today. Surf's Up is dedicated to supporting, creating, and developing programs and partnerships by and for Bostonians to ensure Surf's Up workforce reflects the demographics of the city by, number 1, building careers with opportunities for economic mobility by embracing living wages, generous benefits, flexible work hours, and diversity through targeted and intentional outreach. 2, providing mentorship and meaningful economic opportunities for Boston-based EE and social equity entrepreneurs. 3, engaging in innovative outreach tools through partnerships with legal services, faith-based organizations, and law enforcement. And 4, incorporating diversity and inclusion values throughout all levels of the business. Slide 19, please. We've created a Boston First program to give local hiring preferences to Boston residents with a goal of 75% of our store employees coming from the city, with particular focus on hiring from the Dorchester neighborhood. Our goal is to hire 65% people of color, 50% women, and hope to welcome and employ individuals with quarries or who have a parent or spouse with a criminal record. Slide 22, please. It bears repeating that under our management, our stores have had 0 incidents for theft, diversion, or public nuisance. We will institute a strict zero tolerance policy at Surf's Up, which includes no use of products on the premise or the direct surrounding neighborhood, no public nuisances, and security has sole discretion to refuse access to any potential customer. Any person violating these regulations or disrespecting our community will be permanently banned from the facility. Surf's Up will prominently display educational materials and signage to remind customers that diversion to minors is illegal. And leveraging proven best-in-case tobacco prevention policies, no single pre-rolls will be sold. Surf's Up policy will be a minimum of 3 pre-rolls. Slide 25, please.
In closing, thank you for the privilege to be before you today. This is personal. We take it seriously. And if you give us a chance, we won't let you or my Dorchester community down. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you. I'm gonna hand it over to my fellow commissioners to ask questions first. And I might have some more at the end.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
Yes, so this is going to be a co-located medical and recreational facility, am I correct?
Correct.
Correct, yep.
Okay. Do you know or will you be utilizing delivery at some point?
We don't have a plan for it right now, but if we do decide to utilize delivery, we would partner with, you know, an SEEE applicant delivery service.
Okay, and you both of you all are still part of the team for Newton, or Needham, I mean?
I am. Richie.
I'm not. Richie is currently.
Okay. And Rich, what is your position with the Needham dispensary?
I manage the Needham dispensary.
And I know I'm not in the business, so I'm gonna ask you a really ignorant question. What does managing consist of?
Well, I run the facility and I work with, you know, putting a team together and some community outreach. We have, Needham is very strict. They have their own set of rules in addition to what the state has. So I'm the person that deals with the Needham Board of Health.
Okay. Okay, I got you. And I had another question, and the Lord, it just, when he said that, it went right out of my head. Do you already, well, because you both already have, I'm sure you're already working with an established security team of people and stuff like that, since you're already in this business in another town.
Correct. Yes, we have vendors that we've worked with in the past that we'll be partnering with from a security standpoint.
Okay. And I think that's it. That's it for now, I think. Thank you. And I think I did hear you say, ma'am, Michelle, I think it was you that said it was only you're going to minimize the sale of pre-rolls to a minimum of 3. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thanks, Jasmine. Couple questions, because it's in your presentation. Define high-end for me in terms of cannabis. We've managed 5 locations and you said they're all high-end. What does that actually mean?
Good question. I guess in my eyes, what I would say high-end is, you know, kind of interchangeable with inclusive, you know, not just catering to the I guess who would already be the cannabis customer, but customers who are new to cannabis or interested in cannabis and maybe are, you know, intimidated to go to a dispensary because they have certain brands or certain logos or kind of portray their image a certain way. To me, high end is inclusive and doesn't just cater to one specific demographic. Like I said, of people who already use cannabis. Yes, we obviously welcome those folks and customers as well, but we want to be inclusive to everybody.
And then another part of the presentation, there's something about like statistically you're working more with like professionals or something like that. Did I read that correctly? I forget exactly where I saw it, but I'll find it. Okay, so high end is more about inclusion and who you're catering to.
Yeah, I would also add that in Needham where I am, it's medical only, the place where I am. And so there's an awful lot of people that, you know, normally hadn't used cannabis before that want to. So as Michelle said, they can be intimidated and we would have lots of sit downs and consultations with people who are new to it. It was just a little extra thing, it being a medical facility and something I was pretty proud of.
And the rest of them are not medical only, or they're mixed use?
The other ones are co-located and or adult use. Yeah.
Correct.
Given that, can you tell me a little bit about, you have this whole thing about empowering the community and building careers and mentorship, and how is that working for the rest of your stores? Like, how are you actually rolling those things out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Richie and I were part of, well, and Richie, you know, still is an accelerator program where we would partner with, you know, social equity and economic empowerment applicants to, you know, everything from get their product on the shelf to, you know, answer questions and help them through the licensing process, give them hands-on retail experience in our dispensaries, go to their dispensaries and help them, mostly stand up retail operation, because that's where, Richie and I have our, knowledge and skills. I think Richie and I, starting in the industry 5 years ago when it was so new, we know firsthand what it's like to not know what you're doing in a very complicated industry. And it was so new at the time. And we know that feeling and how scary it can be. And we want to, take all of the knowledge that we've gained over the past 5 years and be able to pay it forward and help those who are, coming into the industry, because there's so much to know. Like I said, from licensing to operations to product knowledge to training and all the inspections you have to go through to get open. And so we have firsthand experience doing all of that, and we want to continue doing that at Surf's Up.
And you're doing that through an incubator?
I don't know that we'll have like such a formal process, but we track and follow all of the applicants through the licensing process to see where they're at. We do active reach outs, or we will plan, and for Surf's Up, do active reach outs for those applicants. And also just because Richie and I have been in the industry and have such a network of people that we know in the industry, people also reach out to us as well, who are trying to open a dispensary, or again, mostly dispensaries, because that's where Richie and I, have our skill set. But people are reaching out to us, again, everything from little questions to going on site and helping, open their dispensary. So yeah, we definitely want to continue doing that for Surf's Up.
Okay. Back on the high end, I found what I was looking for. You said high-end retailers, retail experience, products, and price points appeal directly to high-end market. High-end consumers constitute the overwhelming majority of customers and foot traffic. 65 plus, young professionals, veterans. So that could be interpreted as not as inclusive, right? Does that make sense?
I think to answer the question a little more directly, I think that there is a I think that there is a part of the neighborhood that still has not had experience interacting with legal cannabis on a regular basis, and so may or may not have misnomers in terms of what the population attending a legal dispensary may or may not be. I think there's still a little bit of a thinking that you're going to see a lot of tie-dye and various other folks coming into the front door. And so I think that what we were trying to really emphasize here is that cannabis users are no different than any other retail setting, that you really are, it inherently is a law-abiding population that have chosen to pay a little bit more with taxes and fees to walk into a store and abide by law and get good information and have tested product. And so I think that's what we were trying to perhaps inartfully express it throughout our community meetings.
Thank you, sir. And just one more question on your starting salary and your ranges.
Yeah, we'll be starting. So we do have quite a range, just because we'll have entry level, sales folks starting at $18 an hour, going up to, salaried management positions.
So starting at 18, going up to 10.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Foley. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Commissioner Longos?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Given that you all have been managers, it sounds like, and also it does sound like you're rooted in Dorchester. So can you just tell me it sounds like you would know what organizations then you would want to partner with and recruit from to make sure that you meet your goals of diversity? Can you just share what groups that you've already been talking to or have relationships with already?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, the Cedar Grove Association, when we did we held our community meetings with them, there were, and also Richie doing his outreach, there was an overwhelming amount of interest in people asking about, potential jobs that would be available. So we would definitely be partnering with them, as well as the Cultivate Ed program. I know they're not local to that specific neighborhood, but to Boston. So partnering with the Cultivate Ed program to get applicants as well.
And how about your folks that you want to include from your quarries or people formerly incarcerated? What groups are you partnering with?
Correct. So that would be the Cultivate Ed program.
Okay, not anybody locally, is what you're saying.
Yeah, specifically the Cultivate Ed program works directly with the Sheriff's Department, as well as other organizations like Greater Boston Legal Services that are focused on outreach to individuals with quarries in Boston specifically. So we'd be instituting both a Boston and Dorchester neighborhood hiring preference, but very actively reaching out to all those various organizations.
And in the stores that you've managed, what's the diversity look like in terms of the workforce?
I can speak to my own store. And actually there's a couple of people that are going to be here to speak for that as well when it gets to that part of the program. But percentage wise, I would say what our goal is here is where I'm at now in Needham.
Great, thank you. And then we get memos from the staff around your application, and it mentioned $100K annually for 5 years committed to community organizations. Can you say more about that and who it's committed to?
Yeah, that's for the Cedar Grove Civic Association. And where it's used is up to them, because we understand some places would not necessarily want to be directly associated with a cannabis operation. So they have the ability there to decide and vote on where that money goes.
Yeah, just nuance that a bit more. The Cedar Grove Association will have someone represented on a community foundation board that will create. And what we heard consistently from the community was a desire to have some funds available for a democratic process to select where that might go. And so we look forward to establishing that and building that out with various groups being represented on that board.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're starting a foundation, and then Cedar Grove has 1 seat on that board.
Correct.
I see. And then, so it hasn't been created, but you're creating a board. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Chairman Joyce, did you have any questions?
I think my fellow commissioners covered my questions.
Any follow-up questions from the commissioners? No. All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Ross Cochran with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to defer to the board at this time, but to provide some context, the abutters meeting was held on January 18th, and abutters expressed concerns about traffic, upkeep of the property, proximity to other dispensaries in Dorchester, and proximity to public parks. As for the civic group, the Cedar Grove Civic Association membership voted to support the proposal, and the applicant had also reached out to Pope's Hill Civic, but that was all I had on that end as far as Pope's Hill. But other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives? All right, we'll move to those who signed up. Allison.
Thank you, Jasmine. We have quite a few people who signed up online. please, when I call on you, provide your name, should I pronounce it incorrectly, and your address. Let's start with Dennis White.
Hi, hello. My name is Dennis White, and I reside at 11 Grant Street in Dorchester. I'm here primarily to speak on behalf of Richie's character as an acquaintance and a friend for more than 35 years. I've also hired Richie, as I have done for the Dorchester Beach Festival, which I'm a volunteer member of, and have hired his bands to play music at my events. I also was a longtime customer at Newbury Comics and know Richie to be a responsible store manager in that regard. And so I would just like to express my support for this venture.
Thank you, Mr. White. Nicole Eaton, if you're available, you can proceed with your testimony. Okay, how about Stephen Mazzulli?
Hi, I live at, my name's Steve Mazzulli. Are people hearing me?
Yes.
Great. I live at 15 Westmoreland Street in Dorchester, a couple blocks away from the proposed location. I would probably say my main support for this is access for the local community, because I have to usually go a distance. And I have family members that are medical patients as well, and it would definitely be a benefit to them. And yeah, I think it's a great location, and I think it would be a good benefit for the local people. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person to sign up to provide testimony is Martin Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney, if you're available, you can proceed. Okay, how about Obiajulu Charitakis?
You said it perfectly. Thank you. My name's Obi Julu, and I used to work with Richie in the Needham location, and I'm here to stand in support. I was hired as an entry level, like sales, technically like sales associate, and I was able to be promoted to a team lead. And I really enjoyed that Richie made it kind of like part of our team to educate people when they came in, to sit down and have consultations, especially with people who might be a little bit older, move a little bit slower. He really encouraged us to take that time and really get to know their needs. We fully were aware we're not medical providers, but getting to know what their needs are, what their doctor recommended for them, and then work with them to use like the new patient journals, just for them to have a little bit more education and feel more secure with what they're doing. Because as people have said before, going in is totally different depending on whatever dispensary you go to. And Richie really made it a priority that everyone felt welcome, everybody felt part of the team, and everybody was going to leave with some education.
Thank you. The next person to sign up online is Adam Cunningham.
Hi, my name's Adam Cunningham. I live at 9 Blackwell Street, Dorchester, Mass, right around the corner from the proposed site. And I'd just like to share my support and enthusiasm for the location. And as being a medical card holder myself, I think it's a wonderful to have it in the neighborhood. And as someone who's known Richie lifelong, I would like to just, share that he's an upstanding individual and actually worked for him as well. He gave me a job as a teenager and is top notch as far as professionalism, and he's a great guy, and I hope it goes through. Thank you.
So the next person to sign up is Kalani Ordonez.
Yes, Kaylani Ordonez.
Sorry.
All good. No, I'm gonna be reading from my notes on behalf of Richie and Surfs of Cannabis. So yeah, my name is Kaylani Ordonez, currently residing on Tilton Ave on the Brockton Easton line. I worked with Richie from late 2020 until early 2022 at a previous dispensary in Needham. And I'm also a born and raised Dorchester native. I worked with Richie as my manager, all thanks to inclusive and diverse staffing ethics. This allowed me to progressively transition from my previous dispensary position and further my cannabis career, while also being a part of the Needham Dispensary's Culture Committee, which followed similar ethics of diversity. This is important because the cannabis industry is here now, truly because it's built off the backs of minorities, and that should continue to follow suit in order to be successful by allowing right and just change for all minorities to find their roles and niches within the industry. Richie and the Needham team helped me in such a way to put me en route on my own individual path to find my own suitable role within the cannabis industry. So yeah, I'm here in support of Richie's endeavors, knowing he'll continue to provide opportunities for inclusion. As far as the Dorchester community. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. The next person to have signed up is Milan Williams. If you're available, you can proceed.
I think I'm speaking on behalf of a different.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries, no worries at all.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that. Heather Younger.
Hi, I'm Heather Younger. I actually own Top Shelf Cookies down the street on Gallup 516 Gallup Boulevard. I also live in Lower Mill, so not far. You know, we want to stand in support of Surfs Up. Every interaction that I've had with Michelle and Richie, I have learned something new about an industry that I don't really know that much about. And I noticed too at these community meetings that they have done a good job of educating the neighborhood, which the meetings are typically older. And I think people who have a predisposed notion of what this means and not really maybe understanding how this has changed a little bit. I find that they're always prepared. I think it's a great business to come into the neighborhood. And I think you can't ask for better partners that are interested in serving the community. I think Adams Village is very tight knit and is going to support this business as well.
Thank you, Ms. Younger. Daniel Mullen. Hi, Mr. Mullen, you're on mute. Let me see if I can.
All right, great. Hi, my name is Dan Mullen. I'm a lifelong resident of this neighborhood, and something that has been mentioned, you know, I'm also a longtime member of the recovery community in this town, and it's funny because you don't want to talk too much about, you know, there's a lot of anonymity involved, but I've had conversations with Rich about, you know, coming into contact with some of the most wonderful people I know who need second chances around here. You know, I've been I've helped out a lot of guys in sober houses and things like that in the area, and they definitely have an interest in reaching out to you know, people that deserve a second chance, people that, you know, you know, it's just he's a beautiful person, you know, and I've known him my whole life, but and anybody who's worked for him, and you know, diversity or anything like that is you know, Richie's, like I said, you know, salt of the earth guy, and they do want to help out the you know, the downtrodden in the neighborhood too. You know, I've as being one of them, you know, I just celebrated my 11th anniversary of recovery, and when I first came in here, you know, I was not you know, I had a lot of problems, but my life is pretty wonderful now, and I'm fortunate in that I you know, in everything out really, but a lot of people out there that I know who, you know, do have queries and have trouble getting jobs and because of that. And, you know, we have spoken quite a bit about, you know, making recommendations for people that, you know, deserve a second chance, things like that, you know, trying to, I don't think that came across, but they definitely are invested in giving everyone a chance at employment there. And if you ever stepped into a Newbury Comics when, you know.
Danny, that is your 2 minutes. If you would like to submit it in writing, you can at cannabisboard@boston.gov. Thank you.
And we have Gabe Parsons. Gabe, you can proceed.
Is Gabe available? Gabe Parsons? If not, we can move to the next person.
Okay, again, I can go back to John Flagg. He signed up for
Can you
Dorchester.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, Gabe Parsons.
Okay, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name's Gabe Parsons. I'm a recovery specialist for the city of Boston. I focus in harm reduction. And in that focus, we take people who are, we try and take the least invasive approach necessary to help people out, so as not to overwhelm and for other reasons. And one of the least invasive ways for a lot of medical issues facing the clients I face today is through cannabis. A lot of people I face are homeless people who have been living on the streets for a while and have a lot of chronic ailments that they're just not in a position to have their knees replaced or their shoulders replaced or their hips replaced. I deal with a lot of veterans who rely on THC and CBD to just help them sleep at night, not just for their physical issues, but for like mental and emotional stress. So I know a lot of people swear by this stuff, and it's changed their lives. And my family, my mother's side and father's side of my family have lived in Adams Corner for almost 100 years. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter who's probably, you know, who knows what the next 100 years will bring for my family in this community. And I want them to have everything that every other community has. I want them to have, you know, I don't want anything to be too hard for us to get a hold of. And I think that the place where it is on Galvin Boulevard is so easy to access for everyone in the community. And it's just, I think it would really work out. I think would benefit. So I'm in great favor of it.
Thank you, Gabe. And I'd like to circle back to John Flagg again. Just put Dorchester. We had DB and Surf's Up. So if you're available and you're planning on testifying, please proceed. Okay, Jasmine, that is all of the people who signed up to speak on behalf of Surf's Up.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak that didn't get a chance?
Yes, this is Billy Donovan, Direct Abutter, 12 Clover Street. I just wanted to make a comment around concern of trash, noise, and the upkeep of the property. Michelle, you had mentioned security. I didn't know if you could elaborate a little bit more on what that would be like. I live directly behind the auto zone, and they have signs saying "Do not work on your cars," but you know, there's constantly people working on their cars, going up our one way. So if you could just elaborate a little bit more on that. Nothing against Richie's character. Richie sounds like a great guy, and you guys sound like you've done this before. But you know, just the concern around the trash. The parking lot back here is really dark at night. We get a lot of people parking back there. So if you can go into that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will have security staff on site at all times. The perimeter of the building, as well as the inside, is also monitored 360 around the perimeter, and that the monitors are in multiple locations within the dispensary. So we would see anyone around, and if that were to happen, we would, again, like I said, immediately ask them to leave. And Richie and I, in our experience, you know, it is part of the Cannabis Control Commission, which is the state commission to upkeep the property. And so Richie and I have very extensive checklists and SOP, standard operating procedures, to make sure that the site remains clean. And again, as we said, we want to be good partners and neighbors, and we just, we would never let that happen to our location, just from a business perspective, but also for the neighborhood. So that's definitely something that will be top priority for both of us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a mess today. So anything you guys can do to help clean it up would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on regards to this proposal? Oh.
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Stephen Graham. I live at 8 Sylvester Road, about 200 yards from the property. Commissioner, I think I can define spec and high-end for you of what we will expect in this neighborhood, and that is shiny and bright and well swept and well cleaned, and maybe decorated at different times of the year nicely. So we know what high-end is. I was a civic president 50 years ago. So it tells you how old I am. I'm the oldest one on here, I bet. And we heard the same arguments against liquor licenses for beer and wine at Gerard's. Did you know that, Richie? And when I look back now, I realize how silly it is, because we have a thriving restaurant section all over Dorchester now. But look, I know Richie, I know the family. We expect them to follow through on all these things, but and they know Dorchester well enough to know that if they don't follow through on these things, we will be on them in a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Anyone else would like to speak? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
We're just gonna take a quick break. We'll come back at 2:45. All right. The next item on our agenda is the applicant is in Injaga Delivery LLC, DBA Zaza Zoom. The proposed license premise is 1455 to 1457 VFW Parkway, West Roxbury. The license type is a marijuana courier, delivery operator, and product manufacturing license. The proposed hours of operation for courier and delivery operator are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And for manufacturing, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. The application was filed on June 27, 2022. The date of the filing with the inspection services was July 8th, 2022. And the community meeting took place December 7th, 2022. There is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Before we begin with the presentation, I will ask Shakia Scott to speak and to reference the equity certification.
Thank you, Jasmine. Our office was able to certify Injaga Delivery LLC as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicants, Cleon Byron and Shalir Armstrong. Mr. Byron is the Chief Business Development Officer, and Ms. Armstrong is the Marketing Manager, both of which are 25.5% beneficial interest holders of Injaga Delivery LLC, meeting the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Byron meets the following criteria: a person who has resided in an area of disproportionate impact as defined by the CCC for at least 5 of the past 10 years. Mr. Byron submitted a proof of residency certificate from the City of Boston's Elections Department, establishing Boston residency from 2011 to 2019. And the geocoder address search tool confirms that the address provided by Mr. Byron is located in Census Tract 081700, which has been designated as an area of disproportionate impact per CCC guidelines. He also meets a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent, Mr. Byron self-identifies as Black and provided his driver's license. He also meets a person who has been certified by the Cannabis Control Commission as an economic empowerment applicant or is a participant in the Cannabis Control Commission Social Equity Program and is a resident of Boston for at least one of the past 3 years. Mr. Byron submitted proof of participation in the CCC Social Equity Program and has been an approved applicant as of March 2020. He also provided his license and other proof of Boston residency for at least one of the last 3 years. Ms. Armstrong meets the following criteria: a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. Ms. Armstrong provided her driver's license and also self-identifies as Black. She also meets a person whose annual household income is at or below 100% of the area median income. Ms. Armstrong provided her 2021 income tax return, which reported a taxable income below 100% of the area median income of Randolph. And she also meets a person who has been certified by the Cannabis Control Commission as an economic empowerment applicant or a participant in the CCC Social Equity Program and is a resident of Boston for at least one of the last 3 years. She submitted proof of participation in the CCC's Social Equity Program and has been an approved applicant as of October 2021. She also provided a lease as proof of Boston residency in 2020, showing residency for at least, one of the last 3 years. Are there any other questions regarding this certification?
Thank you, Shakia.
Thank you.
Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Anybody present? I think you're on mute.
Yeah,
Nabil.
we're here.
Oh.
Nabil.
Nabil Audi, I'm present, as well as Cleon Byron, Shalair Armstrong, and Nancy Audi.
All right, so you will have 10
Here.
minutes. You will have 10 minutes. You may share your screen and begin.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us. My name is Nabil Audi, and I would like to introduce our company, Enjaga Delivery, doing business as Zaza Zoom. We are a woman, minority, and locally owned business looking to open up on VFW Parkway. I'd like to introduce our leadership team, which consists of myself as the CEO, Cleon Byron as the Chief Business Development Officer, Dr. Shalair Armstrong as the Chief of Diversity, and Nancy Audi as the Operations Manager. Now, I'd like to introduce to you our location and establishment. We are located on 1457 VFW Parkway in West Roxbury. We chose this location because this location has been in my family for the past 7 years. Now, I and my sister are born and raised from West Roxbury, and my family has been in West Roxbury for over 50 years. It is a discrete location that is tucked away between VFW Parkway and the Charles River. It is not visible to the street view and not open to the public. The licensing we are going for is the manufacturing, delivery, and courier licensing. And as well, excuse me, we are aware of the establishment across the highway from us, but because of the impassable barrier between us, we are state compliant and asking a waiver because of so. Lastly, we have ample parking space designated for the establishment.
I'm sorry. Hello, Madam Commissioner and fellow commissioners. Hello, my name is Cleon Byron. I'm going to tell you about the security plan. I am the Chief Business Development Officer. And as Nabil said, our location is not visible from the street. We're tucked around inside the back. We're not accessible to the public, so there's no access for the public to enter our facility. We have a Sally Port compliant, so all our vehicles will be driving into the facility to unload and load all product. Also, we'll be using a company called Third Eye that will be putting cameras in and around all the facility. Also, Third Eye, David Revolt is also a minority business owner. So we're starting off, by minority security company, and he will be installing cameras in and outside the facility, cars and employees. So to increase safety for the business and employees and meet all CCC requirements and BCB requirements. We also will have 24 to 36 cameras in and around the building, which will increase security for the community. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy, the operations manager. I'm going to address the support we have received from our community. We've spoken with many businesses and residents in our area who are very excited and have given us their support for our project. We had a great community outreach meeting back in December where about 25 to 30 people attended and not one person opposed our project. We have also gotten full support from Mayor Wu and Councillor Kendra Hicks and her team. Councillor Hicks explained to us that senior citizens, specifically in our area, are lacking support. Given this, we've decided to work with ABBA Village, a senior living community in our area. They have given us their support, and we plan to volunteer and execute events for the seniors in our area in the near future.
Shalair, I think you're on mute.
Shalair.
Sorry about that. So hello, I'm Shalair Armstrong. I am the Director of Marketing and Diversity for Injaga, doing business as Zoom. We're really thrilled to share some of the benefits of our community that our community will see thanks to local ownership of business in the area. Not only does this mean increased security for local businesses and residents, but it also means more job opportunities for the West Roxbury neighborhood. We're really proud to say that the Audis have been local employers, as well as Cleon and myself. We've been local employers in the area. We prioritize hiring members of the community. And this has had a significant impact on the local community. Additionally, we're grateful to volunteer the hours that we've set aside for that senior living facility that Nancy just talked about, ABBA. The reason that we're proud of this is because it's their efforts that have contributed to a stronger sense of community and a better quality of life for everyone. And we really want to give them their flowers. That's something that was really important to Kendra Hicks and her supporters. So we really want to address that. We're going to be bringing the plant and the benefits of the plant right to the doorstep, to people's doorsteps. So it's going to reduce the presence of Black market sales in the area. So overall, we believe that the benefits of local ownership extend beyond just economic prosperity. They promote a sense of community, pride, and security, which will make the neighborhood a better place to live, work, and thrive. Next. Thank you. And our diversity plan. We're excited to share our commitment to diversity and employment in our business. As a 100% local owned and operated business with minorities and women ownership, we take pride in our efforts to create a workplace that really celebrates and extends what we are. So we're dedicated to fostering an environment that's inclusive and welcoming to individuals of all walks of life, including low-income people and seniors. Our goal is to have just the most diverse employee background that we can, and we are actively working towards achieving that. Additionally, like Cleon said, we're already working with a security company that is minority owned. We will continue to do that to promote diversity within our industry, but not only in our industry. We really hope to inspire and encourage other local businesses in the community to follow suit and prioritize diversity and inclusion. So we firmly believe that a diverse workforce not only benefits our business, but it contributes to the benefit of the community as well. So I want to just really thank you all for having us here and listening to us, and ask if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, my first question is for you, Nancy. You had a slide up there that's with Mayor Wu's face saying she supported this. We've never received a letter of support from the mayor. Can you describe what you're calling her support?
Yes, sorry, my dog is just causing a commotion in the background. But I know Cleon and his family have been very close with Mayor Wu throughout the years and throughout her campaign. So I believe he would have a better say on this if we want to pick up Cleon. Sorry about that.
Madam Chair, we did get a lot of verbal support from her campaign. We didn't get anything in writing, but we did get support from her office.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on the record that that is not considered support from Mayor Wu. I believe we're gonna have ONS testifying that they are taking no position, but I'll wait until ONS testifies because that is a little bit deceiving to the public, because the mayor, as far as I know, does not take positions on applications. My next question is for Nabil. So you're listed as the CEO.
Correct.
Okay, but you're not the equity applicant. The equity applicant is Cleon, right?
Yes.
Well, he's not the CEO. Can you explain that arrangement or relationship? It's just confusing why. It seems maybe Cleon is able to meet equity requirements, but he's not running the business or something. He's 50% owner, but he's not the CEO.
I'm not 51%. I'm 26.5%, 25, I think, 0.5%. And the reason why is that I'm working on a retail location and I could not, be responsible for both locations at the same time. So we just came to the arrangement that Nabil and Nancy could handle the West Roxbury location as we're working on the Dorchester location.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, you're right. I see, I made a mistake. You're 25.5% owner. What is the status of Evoke? That's your other location, right?
Yes. Right now we're in limbo with the CCC. So right now we're just in limbo.
And when did you get your HCA from this board?
I want to say 2020. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Holmes?
I guess you could see my face going while chairperson was talking. I'm sorry. Because I recognized his name and I couldn't figure out where it was. And then the chairperson said it was from another dispensary. Okay, so that one's not up and running yet? Is that what you're saying?
No, not yet.
Okay, and we gave you that in 2020?
It's either 2020 or 2021. I'm not exactly.
Okay, I'm not even sure how long we've been. Okay, not that it's taken you. I just didn't think we were around that long, but I guess we might have been. Okay, and so that one is still kind of in limbo?
Yes, we're just waiting on the state to give us
Press stuff from the state. Okay,
yes.
I have a question, and I'm seeing it a lot now because we're getting into now the delivery businesses, and I have a question, and again, I apologize if it sounds really immature or a little uneducated, but what is the difference between a courier service and a delivery service?
The courier actually gets to deliver large amounts of cannabis to locations and different sites like manufacturing, retail locations, and the delivery just really goes to your home.
Individual. Okay, so couriers would handle large amounts. Okay, I got it. And delivery is individual sales. Okay, that makes sense to me. What would you be manufacturing here in this facility?
We're mostly going to be sticking to more like pre-rolls, just small things just for right now. Shalair, you want to speak on that because that's your baby?
Yes. So I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and a lot of my chiropractic patients, they use cannabis for different things. So it wouldn't necessarily be for me pre-rolls. It's going to be salves, gels, stuff like that. The things that my patients are currently using for purposes of musculoskeletal injuries. I have my medical cannabis practicum. So it's just, there's so much that can be done.
So more topicals.
More topicals. edibles, stuff like that? Would it be
Anything
edible?
for me that's not, anything for me that's not smokable, only because
Okay.
with my patient base, they have musculoskeletal injuries that involve their cervical and thoracic paraspinals, which is the muscles in your neck and your back. When you cough from smoking, it's not good. So anything
not good.
besides that is what I'd focus on.
Okay, and for the manufacturing doctor, now that I got you, because this is very interesting. What types of staff, who makes it? How do you do it? I guess I should ask. How do you manufacture?
So in order for this to work correctly, you really need someone that understands the science. So we would have someone that has done this before. There are several people that are in the market that mix things. One of my friends, Raj, she has Black Buddha Cannabis, and she's got her stuff already in dispensaries, 14 dispensaries here in Massachusetts. So I'm probably going to use her mixologist.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That very, very interesting. And my last question, I don't know if you said it or somebody else. What is your security plan for this building? What do you have, monitoring outside, inside? Are you going to have live bodies walking around? Because the fact that you are in such a remote location also lends itself to people with unlawful design to try to get in there after hours. So, because you are in a remote, it's a good location for one side, but it's also a bad location when you look at the other hand. So how are you going to alleviate that? What are we going to do about our security presence? How's that going to work?
Oh, we got 30 to 40 cameras. that's first. So
I know some crooks that can get past the camera real quick.
Well, we're really gonna rely on Third Eye to give us a really good security plan.
Oh, okay.
Put the cameras up, yes.
Okay, so Third Eye is going to be a security team, and they will look at the location and determine what's best for you.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
And just to clarify a couple of things, so Evoke signed an HCA January 7th, 2021. So that's that question. And two, the difference between the delivery courier is that a courier only, so they have license agreements with other dispensaries to deliver their products. They can deliver to consumers, but they don't warehouse on site. Delivery operators, they can buy in bulk, repackage, and deliver. So those are the difference between the two. So one's like a Uber Eats, if you will, and the other one is like they do their own delivery.
They own it.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you all for explaining that. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Jasmine. I was thinking about the same thing. Cleon, so you are manufacturing your own product and delivering it?
Yes.
Right? Through courier, and are you buying anything wholesale?
Yes, we would definitely be buying stuff wholesale from cultivation sites.
Okay, and are you using, are there like minority businesses to help?
I'm sorry?
Are you using minority businesses in terms of?
Yes, actually the security company that we're using is a minority company, David Revolt, and he has his MBE. So we are strongly looking at minority businesses to do business with.
Okay. I didn't see necessarily like the hiring plan and employees. I see you broke it out into 100% local minority woman-owned business, diversity employment, a goal of 100% employees. How many employees? What are you paying them? The rates there.
Well, me and Nabil will answer this together. All right. And right now, because I think we're only going to start with 2 to 3 cars. So it'd probably be like 10 employees, including ourselves at starting. We're going to start at $18 an hour.
So you're going to be one of the workers too?
Yeah. I might not be driving, but I'll be there helping out, definitely.
So 10 employees, you think?
Yes.
Yeah, we will be starting very conservatively. We are a family business, family owned building also. So we don't have the high expenses that others may have. So we will be, starting conservatively with boots on the ground, us working ourselves and making sure that everything's compliant and working as smoothly as possible.
Okay, so the Nabil and Cleon family. And then are you also doing the manufacturing? How many? So 10, those 10 are the drivers, the couriers, and also doing the manufacturing?
The courier and for the courier and the delivery, it would be essentially the same employees because they do the same job. And then for the manufacturing, so for the delivery, I would say we need around 6 employees, and for the manufacturing, we would need around 3 to 4 employees.
Okay, so 6 and 4 is the breakdown. And give me the salary again.
It's starting at $18 an hour and then ranging up to the salary positions.
And have you identified some minority sort of wholesale business?
I don't know if you guys know my background, but I actually used to do transportation for 22 years inside the city. So I do know a lot of the local drivers that I groomed from the beginning of this to drive, that know the area, that know the shortcuts, know how to get around the city to, so I do have that background.
Great.
So in terms of the wholesale part of the business, have you identified some folks who you're working with in terms of business?
Because we're networking all the time, we do we have a long list of people that we can go to, but until we get really close to operational, we have not sat down and made any arrangements with any group at this time.
And thanks. And also, you're not thinking of ever sort of being a dispensary yourself?
I
think that's
we don't have
I
any
don't know.
at this time. Yeah, we don't have any plans at this time, but yeah, no plans at this time in opening up a dispensary. No.
But you don't.
I don't know the future. That's the thing. It's tough to say. But I
Never say never.
I can say confidently now that we don't have any plans. We're not working on that now.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramos?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment that in the memo summary that we get from staff, the starting wage says $16.50. So if you, but you're saying it's 18. So just want to make sure I'm clear which one it is.
It's going to be 18.
Okay, that's fine. And then in terms of just because the reason why, I mean, I don't know actually why Commissioner Smith is actually asking these questions. I'm assuming some of the questions that regarding, are you going to open up another business, a retail? Is it going to be in this location? Part of it is because there is a buffer. Is there a buffer zone conflict in this area? Yeah. So I assume that that's one of the things. And when applicants tell us one thing and then come back and do something else, it makes it harder for us because we're having to basically say to the zoning board, which we're supposed to scrutinize these applications and say they are something special and above and beyond because it's a buffer zone area. And while I understand that the courier service is different than a retail establishment, if it were a retail establishment, we would be looking at these differently. So I just want to make that clear that that's why we ask. And if you come back, that buffer zone is, I mean, it's just this criteria is really tough, and we don't want you to go to the ZBA without us being clear why we are sending you there because we've seen applicants not be successful there. So we want our applicants to be as successful as possible. So it's important for us to know the answers to some of these questions, and so that we can be very clear and actually advocate, because hopefully what we say is something that they take seriously. So I just wanted to put that out again. I do think that there are a couple things, just from my perspective, a couple good things that make your application shine, like the senior support and a few other things, the diversity training from my perspective. But again, it is a buffer zone situation. And if you were to come back as a retail, it would not be really
incredible, one of the things applicants that I would say go above and beyond our standards here. So I'm just being completely honest and just want to make sure that you understand that.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
All right, any additional questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon, Dan Hudson from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services here. The abutters meeting was held on December 7th. One abutter had a concern about traffic, which was addressed in the meeting. The rest of the comments were in support of the project, citing the opportunity for job creation and bringing minority-owned business to West Roxbury. I do want to note that while this applicant did have the abutters meeting, they have yet to meet with the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council. I'm currently working with Cleon to get everybody involved in front of the Neighborhood Council at their upcoming hearing on their, the upcoming meeting on the 21st. We'll be glad to report back to that, but for the time being, we refer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives? No, we'll move to those who signed up. Allison.
Sorry. We have Stephen Smith. If you could please provide your address, you can proceed with your testimony.
We can move to the next one if he's not available.
Okay, Marlon Williams, if you're available, you can proceed.
I'm speaking in support of another dispensary. I'm not sure why I'm.
You have Injaga as what you okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. You can speak whatever one you want. Jasmine, those are the only two people who signed up on our online form to provide testimony.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak in regards to this proposal? Dwayne, I see your hand is up.
Yes, Dwayne Edward Osborne, original proud Bostonian, just tapping in. Hey, how y'all doing? Good to see you, Jimmy. Just calling in to support of Cleon on this project, and anything else I can do, just want to call in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Mario?
Yes, as a local Boston business person, I just want to say it's nice to see actual Bostonians applying for business in Boston. I think Dr. Schiller and Dwayne and his partners are great applicants, and I'd like to wish them great success.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Stephen.
So I got cut off by the meeting, so I had to try to scramble to get back in. My name is Steve Smith. I'm the vice chair of the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council and a member of the Spring Valley Neighborhood Association. And I really want to say that I don't think the people presenting this proposal have adequately gone before the neighborhood itself. My neighborhood association, Charles River Spring Valley Neighborhood Association, in addition to the Trailer Park Association, are the two direct organizations, and there has been no contact with the people proposing this with us. I know they said they had a meeting, but even the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council itself has not heard from them. So I think they need, at the very least, to come to us and present our proposal. This is not the first proposal. As you know, we have a retail dispensary. That retail dispensary up front did an excellent job when they had their proposal. They met before multiple times with my group, West Roxbury Neighborhood Council, Trailer Park, West Roxbury Civic Association. What I'm saying is that this organization has done a poor job so far and needs to do a better job in presenting this proposal, especially in the light that, yes, it's a highway that separates it, but you can see the retail dispensary is just across the road. So this is really close to a operation we already have. So there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and they need to do a better job. Thank you.
Would you mind, is it okay? Is it okay if I speak on that? Unfortunately, at the time when we applied, we didn't have a liaison for a couple months. So every time we was trying to establish things, we didn't have a Boston City liaison at that time. And I really apologize. And I want to make an effort for us to come out and speak to you as soon as possible. And my deepest regrets. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this proposal? Oh, Dan, do you want to?
Yeah, Jasmine, sorry, just jump in. Steve, I'm not sure if you heard me before you got up there, but I'm working with Tony and Larry to get these guys in front of the neighborhood council for next week. So just wanted to make that clear. There is an ongoing process to kind of right the wrongs, and Cleon is correct. I didn't get hired as the West Roxbury liaison until early February. Like I said, the Butters meeting was early December, so there was a bit of a gap, but we are working to actively solve this. Thanks.
I'll just respectfully say, though, that we do have a district city council who should be well aware that there are neighborhood associations within our group. So she could have easily informed you as well that there is a West Roxbury neighborhood council. So, I mean, I think the ball was dropped on the operator's end in terms of reaching out to respective groups, and it shouldn't fall on the Office of Neighborhood Services that they didn't have a liaison at that time, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in regards to this proposal? Tito?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. I just wanted to speak on behalf of Njaga. I've known Cleon for many years, as well as Dr. Shalair Armstrong, and they are wonderful people, also wonderful members of the cannabis community, and have really been collaborative. I just really think highly of them, and just wanted to throw my support behind their continued efforts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Thank you.
Seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Right. All right, the following applicant is reappearing before the BCB to satisfy a quorum requirement. The applicant is Vinyl Roots.
Alrighty, I can help now.
The applicant is Vinyl Roots Inc. The DBA is Soul Cannabis. The proposed license premise is 340 North Market Street, Faneuil Hall. The license type is a retail recreational cannabis dispensary. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. The initial application is December 19, 2021. The filing with Inspectional Services was February 11, 2022. And the community meeting took place August 15, 2022. And there was a buffer zone conflict. Chair Joyce, do you want the equity certification read again, or are we good to?
I'll take it as already established. Okay. Nothing has changed.
Perfect. Who was present on behalf of the licensee?
Eric Lawrence.
Okay. All right, you will have 10 minutes. You may begin.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Soul Cannabis is here today to present our proposal to open an adult use dispensary in Faneuil Hall Marketplace. This is our second time presenting to the board. So we'll be brief and give you an overview of our presentation and address any concerns from previous hearings. We originally presented 6 months ago in October of last year. During our voting hearing, it was stated that we scored high and we had a strong application. We've been deferred twice. Originally, it was because they needed to determine where the other applicants were in the licensing process. And on the second time we were deferred due to concerns over saturation. We've been holding this location for 2 years now, and we're eager to make the necessary investment to renovate and activate this historic site that has been dormant for over 5 years. We have a 7-member team of local seasoned business professionals with experience that spans many industries. Our mission is to create an immersive, experiential, music-themed dispensary that supports the arts and has a state-of-the-art recording studio, which will be the anchor of our community impact and give back plan. Our location is commercially zoned with no direct residential abutters. We are located in the North Market of Faneuil Hall Marketplace. And within our half-mile buffer zone, there are 2 open dispensaries and 5 proposed to open, including our proposal. We feel strongly that the downtown area can support 7 dispensaries because within our half-mile buffer zone, there are 9 different densely populated neighborhoods, and Faneuil Hall Marketplace is the 4th most visited site in the country, seeing 20 million visitors a year. Now I'm going to pass it over to Todd Fernard, who's going to talk a little bit more about our location.
Thank you, Eric. We utilize Placer AI technology to track where visitors to Faneuil Hall are coming from and where they're going to. In summary, we see very clearly on slide 7 that people who are coming to Faneuil Hall Marketplace are not visiting North Station or the Financial District or any of the other 9 neighborhoods located within the half mile. They're coming to Faneuil Hall and they're going home primarily or back to their hotel, but the data clearly shows that less than 1% of the visitors are going near any of the other dispensaries located outside of Faneuil Hall. On slide 8, we see more interesting data. New Frontier tracks 164 million active cannabis users. Their data shows that there are more cannabis consumers standing in front of Durgan Park than even visited any of the other open dispensaries during the time being calculated. That was Q1 2022. Over 24,000 customers stood in front of Durgan Park. These potential customers are not walking down to Ascend at the Garden or into the Financial District to find a dispensary. The data shows us they just won't make that half-mile walk. More to the point, the Faneuil Hall Marketplace is asking for a cannabis retail experience inside of the bustling marketplace. On slide 20 is a letter from George Maharakis, who's the president of the Faneuil Hall Marketplace Merchants Association. I hope you read his letter, but in case you didn't, I'll summarize it. An overwhelming majority of the merchants would like to see would like to see us open sole cannabis within the marketplace. The merchants support our belief that cannabis dispensaries outside of Faneuil Hall are not driving foot traffic to Faneuil Hall. We will be the first dispensary inside of Faneuil Hall. The resurgence of this important foot traffic is critically important to the success of the marketplace, and our unique entertainment-focused concept is exactly what George and the overwhelming majority of the merchants want to see in Faneuil Hall. We share this letter because it's an important piece of information. The business community is fully supportive of our application. From the Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion, we know that applicants are granted a cannabis license within the half-mile buffer zone if the applicant can provide the BCB with sufficient information that demonstrates that the site will have no detrimental impact on the existing residential and business community. Well, there's zero detrimental impact on the residential community, as Faneuil Hall is somewhat isolated, and the business community has shown overwhelming support. All that's left to address is the saturation question that was raised in prior hearings. And on this topic, we were very happy to see Dr. Fitzgerald's report that was prepared for the board and shared with us just a short time ago. Not only do we learn that the market is not currently saturated, we learned that there are significant growth opportunities in access, sales, and revenue. That came directly from the Whitney Economics Report. The report tried to identify what the metrics might look like when the marketplace is truly saturated. Those results are actually interesting. Pink Horse Capital Research shows that the thriving cannabis market should be supported by a ratio of 1 dispensary for every 6,000 residents. By this measure, the state would need more than 1,100 dispensaries to achieve saturation. The Mass CCC determined that a possible saturation point for the state could be between 627 and 921 retail outlets. Whether saturation is achieved at 627 dispensaries, 921, or 1,100 dispensaries, it's quite clear that with only 270 dispensaries open in Massachusetts, I'll say it again, 270 are open. Thus far, we're a long way from witnessing a saturated marketplace. Also noted in the Fitzgerald report, the more outlets, access, and lower price points, the greater likelihood there will be of legal participation. From a public safety perspective, more access is better than less access so that buyers don't turn to the illicit market for their cannabis supply. The concluding commentary from Dr. Fitzgerald's report is where I'd like to conclude my own comments. Supporting business and job development and sustainability is a more important focus at this stage of the market's development than concerns over the risk of the market becoming saturated. Massachusetts, the city of Boston, and most specifically Faneuil Hall Marketplace are absolutely not saturated at this time. Now I'll hand things back over to Eric Lawrence. You're muted, Eric.
Sorry about that. 2 points I'd like to make about our floor plan. With 15,000 square feet, we'll have ample space inside of our location to queue customers to prevent lines from forming outside of the building. The second point I'd like to make about our location is that we're dedicating our entire third floor to the creative arts to exhibit multiple artistic mediums, galleries, pop-up space, fashion, and dance. And in honor of our ancestors who lost their freedom at Faneuil Hall, we will call this space Freedom Hall, a place where artists can freely express their creativity and monetize their crafts. Whenever possible, we want to be able to provide employment to individuals that have been penalized under cannabis prohibition. We will give preference to hiring Boston residents. Our starting salaries will range between $20 and $22 an hour. We'll have performance increases at 3, 6, and 12 months, and we will offer full benefits. We'll also offer 2 $5,000 housing grants to assist with first, last, and security deposit, down payment, and closing costs. Our diversity and inclusion plan, we will hire a diverse workforce and will train and prepare them for upward mobility within the cannabis industry. And we will source 20% of our products from the identified groups. To attract associates, we'll offer living wages, full benefits, and housing grants. And we'll use multiple marketing outlets to source our associates. We will record, document, and track our progress so that we can improve on any shortcomings. Is Michael Bivens on the call? I believe Mike may have had to step out because he had an interview with ABC for his upcoming documentary. So I'm going to take on his part. Michael has been an ambassador for the city of Boston and has given back over the years very generously. And he has been instrumental in designing our community impact. What we're, as I mentioned, our anchor to our community impact is our recording studio, where we're going to allocate $200,000 a year in recording time to aspiring artists from disproportionately impacted areas. Mike will rely on his 40 years of music experience to mentor and help artists navigate the music industry. And we'll be working with the Faneuil Hall management to set up sound stage 2 times a year so aspiring artists can join celebrity artists on stage to hone their skills. We also will collaborate with Voices of Liberation. Voices of Liberation is an organization that provides food and essential items to disproportionately impacted areas and marginalized communities. We'll donate $2,500 worth of food on a monthly basis, and we'll source those products from our Faneuil Hall Marketplace vendors. We'll also have opportunities for rotating DJs to come in and hone their skills as well. Next slide, please. The CCC has established strict guidelines regarding security. We'll comply with the state's guidelines to ensure we're offering safe, secure access of cannabis products. We will be contracting with an outside security company to provide our in-house security. We've committed to having our elevator manned by a security personnel during opening hours to prevent customers and cannabis products from entering restricted areas within our site. Our goal is to be a good neighbor and to make a positive addition to the Faneuil Hall community. Also, cannabis customers will be required to comply with our nuisance prevention policy of no public consumption, no loitering, no littering, or any unlawful behavior. In closing, I'd like to say that our business plan is very much in line with the mayor's plan to transform downtown, reimagine Faneuil Hall Marketplace, activate closed storefronts, and to create and preserve space that supports the cultural arts in Boston. Now we'd like to open it up to any questions you might have.
Thank you. We will start with Chairwoman Joyce. Do you have any questions for the applicant? And if you can stop sharing your screen. Thank you.
A couple of questions. The study that he's referring to is a study that the board actually hasn't accepted yet, but we were able to be shared as a matter of public record. And I'm just curious, it speaks more to the saturation in Massachusetts than it does in Boston. What do you think, why do you think there would be no detrimental impact on another cannabis establishment if we were within this buffer zone, if we were allowed to move this forward?
Primary reasons, as I mentioned before, is that within this half-mile buffer, there are 9 actual communities: Faneuil Hall, Financial District, Beacon Hill, West End, North End. So and these are all very dense neighborhoods. In addition to that, Faneuil Hall has really come back. According to the president of the Faneuil Hall Market Association, George Marcus, he's indicated that traffic is back up from the pandemic. There was quite a bit of a downturn right after the pandemic, but traffic seems to be back, and we're back up to 20 million visitors a year in that area. So we feel that with the traffic and the density of the neighborhood surrounding the area can support an additional dispensary.
Okay, and recently the Globe had an article about how downtown isn't recovering as quickly as some of the other Back Bay. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, that has been recognized, and it's clearly been recognized by the mayor and her plans to reinvigorate downtown. The pandemic still is having an effect on businesses. People still aren't back to work, but I think that we really need to look, out within a year or 2-year time frame when we're citing these locations and improving these locations. Part of the mayor's plan is to convert a lot of the empty office building into housing. That will create a much more dense downtown area, and it will be much more available for other customers who's seeking cannabis at other locations.
Okay, thank you. Jasmine, those are my thoughts and questions right now.
Okay. Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, because most of my questions were asked at the first one, and I see that they've actually, put those into this plan now. So, no, I don't have any questions at this point.
Commissioner Smith?
Thanks, Jasmine. Mr. Lawrence, yeah. Just a couple of things. First, on the employment plan. So I have your starting salaries and all that. How many people are you thinking of hiring? And there's different work, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, in this location, because of our footprint and the anticipated traffic, anywhere starting out at about 30 associates upward to 40 associates.
Full and part-time?
Full and part-time.
Also, the cannabis study, not totally definitive, because as Commissioner Joyce talked about, it was from Massachusetts, and we're talking about Boston. The cannabis business is new, right? Still emerging, still developing. I know you did go back in your presentation, you talked about the tracking of folks, a new frontier using mobile, what's it called? MAID?
Yeah, that's how it's typically referred.
Yeah, thank you. To track throughout the US. And you're saying that their data shows a significant number of cannabis consumers visit the immediate stores around. So you're tracking folks who use cannabis in the US to where they go. I just want to be clear on that. You're tracking folks who use cannabis in the area to where they go in and around Boston.
Victor.
Yeah, what New Frontier does is they have identified 164 million cannabis users based on the fact that your cell phone has gone within a known dispensary. So they track I think it's about 9,000 dispensaries across the US. So they establish you based on your phone has been in a dispensary before, and then they'll actually tier based on how often you go into a dispensary. From their data, what they're saying is there were 24,000 people, right, who are cannabis users by their definition, that stood in front of the Durgan Park space for at least 1 minute during that quarter but also did not then go visit Ascend, Patriot Care, which were the other open stores at the time.
They were there, but they didn't go to other cannabis stores.
They did not go to other cannabis stores, correct?
But they were in front of Durgan Park, but Durgan Park is not a cannabis store, but they. just-
Correct. Correct. In other words, that what the data to them would imply is there is significant cannabis user traffic within Faneuil Hall Marketplace that is not currently going to the other neighboring dispensaries. So that there are consumers who are in the marketplace that, you know, could be our customers, our target customers.
Okay, understood. So part of that could be that they're all tourists and they're just visiting Boston and standing in front of Durgan Park, right?
Correct, yeah.
Are you thinking about the economic viability of these businesses? Some are also minority owned in and around that area. If part of this whole commission was to help those businesses stand up and establish themselves. Because again, in terms of the saturation report, while it's not definitive and while, you know, we're still reading through and digesting what it said, there's also the sense of part of this was to establish economic viability for especially people of color based on the war on drugs. And so we're creating a competitive marketplace where folks who are people of color are now competing against each other. So how are we thinking about that in terms of economic viability? Just a question.
Eric, I don't know if you want to comment, but.
Yeah, again, I think, 7 dispensaries within a half mile in the downtown area. They are concentrated, but there are no dispensaries in some of these neighboring neighborhoods, Beacon Hill, North End. So we feel again that there is enough density, there's enough visitor traffic that everybody can survive.
The elephant in the room is also the issue of the illicit market. And I would argue that we are competing as much with the illicit market as we are with every other dispensary in the state of Massachusetts. And if the illicit market is left to prosper, then candidly, this is not a matter of taking market share away from other dispensaries. It's a matter of having a guy in a backpack who goes directly to people's houses and makes deliveries in an illegal format. And part of what's talked about in the report is the need to roll this out so that it is a vibrant market, so that there's no room for an illicit market. So I hope that factors in.
Thank you. I appreciate all your perspectives. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. Commissioner Almus?
I don't have any questions at this time. I want to read fully the report and understand it, and I know we'll have a discussion about it next meeting. So I appreciate people's comments and questions, and I reserve my right to ask more questions later.
Any other follow-up questions for the commissioners before we move to public testimony? No, we're good. All right, we will start with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Sarah D'Amico with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We did, on behalf of my office, hold a community meeting on August 15th, 2022. The applicant did go to Wharf District Council, in which they did receive a letter of non-support, just with some concerns regarding having another dispensary in such a dense neighborhood with the other ones nearby. But at this time, we would like to defer to the board's judgment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representatives?
Hello.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You can go first.
Okay, hi, my name is Laura Toledano, and I'm here from Council President Flynn's office. Council President Flynn would like to go in record in support based on the applicant's commitment and extensive track record of community activism, as well as mentorship opportunities they will be offering. Moreover, this will be a majority minority-owned business helping to revive economic activity downtown through new employment opportunities, activating a long site with foot traffic, and bringing those customers to neighborhood businesses in Faneuil Hall. Council President Flynn respectfully asks that the board please provide every consideration to approving this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Yep, Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Luigi Natali from State Representative Aaron Michaelowicz's office, and he would like to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representative? Seeing none, we'll move those who signed up. Allison?
Thanks, Jasmine. So the first person to sign up online was Mr. Peter Luongo. And as always, please state your address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, this is Mr. Peter Luongo. I'm at 126 Prince Street, apartment 4 in the North End. And I am in full support of this project. I am a current employee down the marketplace. My family owns 3 businesses down there. And the team behind Soul Cannabis has gotten to know each and every one of us by going up to us, saying hello and introducing themselves. They're very kind people, very welcoming people. And also this project will not only benefit Faneuil Hall, but also the creative arts, as it will bring more creative minds into the city of Boston instead of going outside the city for recording spaces, dance halls, and other events such like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Susan Izzo available?
Hi, I'm right here. I want to say thank you, commissioners, for giving me a chance to speak. I have been at Faneuil Hall Marketplace now for 43 years, both as an employee and a business owner for the last 10 years. I have seen many national chains come and go throughout the years. I currently own 3 businesses at the marketplace. The only people that have stuck around have been local small businesses. We currently have 3 large locations on the property that have been vacant for several years now. The reason for the vacancy was a combination of COVID and also finding out that each space needs at least $1 million in renovations to bring them up to city and state codes. Soul Cannabis has been the only possible tenant willing to make an investment in our property. They would be occupying the former Durgan Park restaurant location at Faneuil Hall Marketplace, which is considered the crown jewel of the Freedom Trail. Mayor Wu's office windows overlook our property. As a small business, I urge the commission to approve their application. They will have their own security team in addition to the marketplace's security team, which is unlike other dispensaries in the area, particularly the location which was recently approved by the commission for former city councilor Tito Jackson on State Street. Soul Cannabis is willing to make an investment in a worldwide historic landmark of Boston, unlike other applicants. Additionally, Eric Lawrence and his team have consistently proven that they are more than capable of running a safe and professional and community-centric establishment. I'm urging the commission to approve the Soul Cannabis application so they can be part of the small business roster at the marketplace for many years to come, like the rest of us. Commissioner Joyce, you mentioned the recent article about downtown Boston. This is all the more reason I urge you all to approve their application. You would not only be supporting Soul Cannabis, but the other 45 small local businesses at the marketplace. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Lisa McGinley, if you're available, please proceed.
Hi, I own a business at Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Soul Cannabis will actually be 25 feet behind me. When I first heard the idea, I honestly wasn't sure about it, but then after seeing their proposal last summer and having all of the owners reach out to all of us individually, I am definitely for the cannabis store opening at Faneuil Hall. I think it'll be a great asset to the marketplace and an even greater asset to the city. Thank you.
Okay. George Maharakis, if you're available, you can please proceed. Okay. How about Jenny Morse?
Hi, my name is Jenny Morse. I am the Assistant General Manager at Faneuil Hall Marketplace, so I represent the landlord. We are extremely supportive of this project moving forward and feel that the team will be great partners as the marketplace continues to evolve. We feel very confident in their leadership and appreciate their commitment to give back to the community through their hiring efforts, their training programs, and their willingness to partner with our management team on events and entertainment, which will keep Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall Marketplace as the top place to visit in the city of Boston. We trust that their team is going to maintain a safe and clean environment for all of our visitors, stakeholders, and more than 50 local businesses who also operate here every day. Projects like this are what revitalizing downtown Boston is all about. So we strongly hope that you will approve the Soul Cannabis project to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Perry Geyer, if you're available.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking the call. My name is Perry Geyer. I own Cybersound Recording Studios. We've done for the last 28 years, going on 29 years. May 1st, I fully support Soul Cannabis's initiative to start a recording studio in there, and I'll be helping with the daily operations. And it's just going to be a wonderful thing for the community, and I fully support Soul Cannabis.
Thank you. Sadiq Irvin.
Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Sadiq. I'm like a local event producer and talent manager, and I just wanted to reach out in support of Soul Cannabis. I've had the opportunity to produce a lot of events for dozens of organizations, universities, production houses, venues, nonprofits, you name it, and facilitated a bunch of brand partnerships. In my experience, a lot of cannabis brands claim to invest in arts and culture, but very few of them actually put their money where their mouth is. But because musicians are reflected in their founding team and mission, I have reason to believe Soul Cannabis will make good on those promises, especially with Boston being one of the largest music markets in America. And, very few of the musicians who make it out of here don't invest in local infrastructure. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Soul Cannabis. So I'm in complete support of them. I also believe with their commitment to, investing in creative entrepreneurship through their mentorship programs and their investment objectives. I think there would be great opportunities, not just for recording artists, but both visual artists and young aspiring music executives like myself to learn from people like Mike Bivens and anyone in their networks that they'd invite. I believe that produce programming that you can only really find at universities like Harvard or Berkeley. And, being having left undergrad myself, finding opportunities like that are few and far in between. Additionally, as someone just born and raised in Boston, I've lived in, every inner city neighborhood, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. I just feel like it helped break down some cultural barriers. One of the unfortunate realities of the Boston music scene is that people operate in silos. People in Cambridge, people, wherever, Boston, Dorchester, they're all kind of in their own bubbles. And having something that's in one of the cultural hubs of Boston and one of the tourist attractions, I feel like it really helped break down those barriers. Also, just as an event producer, I feel like the prospect of bringing a soul stage to the Faneuil Hall Marketplace twice a year would be incredible. And it all.
Mr. Irvin, that is your 2 minutes.
Thanks, Jasmine. Kiana Richardson, if you're available, you can proceed.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Kiana Richardson, but I also go as Key. I'm a Dorchester native, and I'm also an upcoming artist from the city. Last year in December, I was actually titled New Artist of the Year at the 2022 Boston Music Awards. As of lately, under Mayor Wu, we've been seeing the largest investments in arts and culture in Boston to date. So something like Soul Cannabis' commitment to investing in local artists and creative spaces directly reflects those same initiatives. And as an emerging artist myself, I understand the value of access to high quality spaces and services. And this month in March would make 2 years since I've been pursuing music independently. And luckily, I've been able to make something out of nothing and make use of my community resources to gain so much success in my career these past couple of months. So I believe having a space like Soul Cannabis in downtown Boston would be so incredible and imperative for other aspiring artists like myself. And also opportunities like they mentioned, like the rotating DJ residency would help showcase other creatives and talented artists and create a pipeline for emerging DJs, as Corian Reynolds, the Boston new director of nightlife economy, will hopefully help shift that culture. Thank you so much for giving me the time and space to share my support for Soul Cannabis. And I would really like to see this initiative go through.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Raheem Muhammad, if you are available, please proceed.
Hey, how y'all doing? Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my name is Raheem Muhammad, aka B Knuckles. I reside on Linwood Street in Roxbury, and music and marijuana have literally saved my life. Not only did it help me like relieve my stress and anxiety, it helped me travel the world and perform on hundreds of stages in 6 continents. So I'm in full support of Vinyl Roots Soul Cannabis. I've been recording music in Boston for at least 30 years. I'm a teacher, artist, entrepreneur, cannabis connoisseur as well, like I said. And I'm also affiliated with Hip Hop Transformation and the Entrepreneurship Apprentice Program, with the both help kids and youth discover their talents and help them to attain their goals while preparing for their future. I brought the youth all over the city of Boston into studios such as Cybersound, and was able to watch their careers blossom, and giving them outlets instead of the streets. And unfortunately, we know that when the resources are cut off, like they are being in the schools nowadays, we need the youth to be able to self-express and have their self-expression. So a studio combined obviously with the dispensary would be a perfect example. And I think, as the chairwoman said, this is very special, and it goes literally above and beyond what regular dispensaries are doing in the city. And with it, like I said, when there's a lack of resources, it's not good. And as we can see in our communities, and music and marijuana have always been therapeutic in our history as a people, from spirituals that got our ancestors through the day to like Bob Marley, for example, smoking his joint and making some of the greatest hits that we listen to today. And basically, this will be a perfect opportunity. I'm in full support. And I think that, will help the healing and the spreading of great vibes and peace throughout the community. And especially on one of Boston's historic pieces of land where actually ancestors were shipped off and sold. So this would be, great business proposal. So thank you for letting me share my piece.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Marlon Williams, if you are available and would like to proceed, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I want to say I'm been in Faneuil Hall. I'm a vendor. I'm the only Black business owner in Faneuil Hall Marketplace at this time, and I've been there for roughly 7 years. And I want to say that I'm in full support of what Eric and his team are doing. Eric took the time to come around to speak to not only myself but other business owners that were down there to explain his vision and to solicit our support for what he was doing. I think when you look at opportunities that are being provided to minority business owners, I think it's important for us to look at not cannibalizing that opportunity, and that there's certainly, some of Eric's colleagues said earlier that the Boston area downtown is very segmented. And I can speak to this because people come in all the time asking how to get to this place or that place. And when you try to give someone directions to anywhere outside of where you currently are downtown, people think it's too much of a chore and don't want to inconvenience themselves by trying to figure out how to get there. I think having a dispensary accessible in Faneuil Hall will not only help revitalize the marketplace, because I was there when Durgan Park was there, and I see the effects of the vacancies of some of these big businesses. And I think it's going to take an independent business owner to be willing to commit their own financial resources to make an investment in the marketplace. And I think it's important for us as the community to support them however we can. And I think that they're going to do a great job. I think it's going to be great for Boston. And I think a healthy Faneuil Hall has a halo effect over the entire downtown area. So I'm in support.
Thank you. Mary Boyd, if you are available, please proceed.
Hi, first I'd like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Boyd. I am CEO and owner of 445 Music Publishing Company. And I'm also a member of the Women in Chapters Music in Boston. I have been interested in the music business for over 47 years and a full support of Soul Cannabis 101%. I think this is a great opportunity for up and coming artists in the communities and surrounding areas to be involved, giving them an opportunity to show their leadership, their exposure, and gain entrepreneurship in the industry. Again, I support Eric 101%.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up is Sean Fontes. If you are available, please proceed.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the commission. I'm Sean Fontes. I'm a local attorney. Actually, my office is located right there at 100 Cambridge Street, Boston, less than about a half a mile away from this location. And I'm a native, born and raised in Dorchester. And I urge that this commission support and approve. I support and I urge this commission to approve this project for two reasons. First reason, the experiential learning and workforce development component with the music and entertainment. And that's a background. I'm a labor attorney, and workforce development is a specialty. And I can assure you that I think that as echoed by other folks on this call, I think that this is one of the best times for the city to approve such a project, because particularly with the new appointment of Boston's new director of social life and nightlife, Corinne Reynolds, I think that this project is going to amplify and be a partner to the work and the renewed focus that the city has on entertainment. Secondly, when it comes down to community benefits, and when we are talking about Michael Bivins, I've known Michael Bivins and I've worked with Michael Bivins and I've seen him firsthand and what he has given back to the community, particularly hundreds of thousands of dollars to youth programs and to community programs. Back in 2017, he spearheaded a free racial unifying concert called the Belle Biv DeVoe Unity Concert right there on the steps of City Hall that attracted thousands of people of color in all races to bring racial healing. And thirdly, he has done for the city of Boston, most recently donating to the city of Boston's athletic department. So with that being said, I think that you have someone, particularly in Michael Bivins, that has a track record of giving back for 40 years and will continue. So I urge that you approve this project.
Thank you. And the last person that we have who has signed up online is Mr. Tito Jackson. Mr. Jackson, you can proceed if you are ready.
Thank you so much to the board. And I actually want to thank everybody who has spoken prior. I actually agree that this is a great idea. I think it is a wonderful idea. And in fact, I actually have a multi-floor facility that is actually very much like the facility that we're talking about. But I do think we actually have to dig into reality. And I just opened about 3 weeks ago. So this fiction that we have, that you will open a cannabis dispensary and everybody will come like they did when the first 2 dispensaries were opened, that is not the case. And in fact, I do want to, I want to acknowledge Victor, because I actually did speak in favor of Victor's Boylston site. But a couple of things. One, the issue with the report with 680,000 people in the city of Boston would mean that there would be 133 dispensaries. And then to drill down to the actual space, the board has the autonomy to determine where dispensaries can go. And there are literally neighborhoods in the city of Boston that have no single dispensary at all. And as noted by Eric, many of those neighborhoods are actually right around the place that we're talking about, but they're choosing not to go there. It is, from a business perspective and also from a community perspective, I think absurd that we would actually put 7 dispensaries within this half a mile radius. It's not that the issue is not whether or not this is a good idea, because I actually believe it is a great idea. And in fact, Michael Bivins and BBD and Poison, by the way, is my favorite song. But when it comes down to the actual rubber meeting the road here, it is very problematic to Black-owned businesses, because understand what is happening here is that this board is putting Black-owned businesses against each other.
Yeah,
right?
Mr. Jackson, I think I've actually heard people tell me that you have said we are the cause of Black on Black crime. Was that something you had said to people? Us, but the board approving another cannabis establishment within your buffer zone was the equivalent of Black on Black crime. Someone told me that was a quote from you about the board.
I did not say that.
Okay, I take it back.
So, well, and what I said, what I was actually in the process of saying, Madam Chair, is that these are Black-owned businesses who are being pit against each other. There was no other part of the city of Boston where there are 6 going on 7 cannabis dispensaries. And so knowing, unlike restaurants, we don't sell Thai food, Chinese food, or Italian food. We're all selling the same products. And so the only method that we have to make adjustments are actually around price. And in the cannabis industry, we have about a 75% tax, 50% at the federal level and about 25% at the state level. And so this is not the windfall or boon that we thought. And when I got my license a couple of years ago, a pound of marijuana was $4,500 in the wholesale market. That same pound is about $1,300 today. And so what we're also talking about are businesses that are all struggling to stay in business. So I just want to go on record and say that I am not in favor of this location. I think it is a wonderful idea. I think it is a great idea. But I, as a former elected official, as a business owner, as a person who's a member of the Wharf District Council, all of these going into the same little corner of the city of Boston.
Mr. Jackson, we have to cut you off.
Yeah.
We
So I
understand.
have a comment and a question for Mr. Jackson. My comment is the board can't force an applicant to go to Hyde Park and open up this place. Like, we have to evaluate what's been brought before us, and what's been brought before us is an application for Faneuil Hall. And second of all, would you be opposed to other applications within this general area? I'll let you know right now, we have 2 more in the queue. So if we oppose this one, are you asserting that the board should oppose every other application within your general area that you're saying 7? Because even if we voted no on this one, I'll tell you right now, we're going to have more applications. So it's precedent setting.
Madam Chair, what I am saying is that the citing of over 10% of the total number of required dispensaries within a half a mile radius is actually not good for.
I totally get the math. I totally get the math, but as the chair of the board,
So
I would through the lens of whether or not this neighborhood could sustain this type of license in this area. This neighborhood is different than, Adams Village. It's different than, it's different than where I live. It's quite different. People don't go shopping in my neighborhood for, for things. People don't, my neighborhood is not a restaurant destination. So I do see this differently. I'm just asking you, like, there are 2 more applications in the queue currently that will be before the board soon in this general vicinity. So would those be things you would also oppose? You would ask us to oppose?
Madam Chair, is one of them in the north end?
No.
Well, I would, in this actual buffer zone, I believe a 7th, a 8th, or 9th, or a 10th would actually not be a sustainable business model for all of these businesses that are currently there. I also don't believe would be fair to the neighborhood and community around this area.
Okay. It's just, we have to balance that. Like, it's not just this one application in isolation compared to your business. There's other applications coming our way. And we have to figure out what that means to the industry as a whole.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, I will note, I did not oppose Rasta Roots. I did not oppose Pure Oasis. I did not oppose Primitive. The three dispensaries that were granted after my HCA, that I do want to make sure that folks know I am not the party of no in any way. And in fact, as I noted before, I've actually spoken in favor of individuals on this team. It is just this particular location, and this group understands this because they have actually brought up legal issues with other organizations who cited in buffer zones outside, inside their host community buffers. So that is why I bring this, and I bring it for the workers that we have who are currently there, who I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to currently work. 80% of them who are people of color, and 20% of them who have a CORI. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jasmine, that's all the folks that signed up online.
All right, we'll move to those who have their hand raised. Lynn Brennan, it's the first hand I see.
Hi. It's timely that I talk after Tito Jackson. My name is Lynn Brennan. I'm from 151 Tremont Street. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. I actually, I've heard a number of these because there's so many in my neighborhood. And of all of the ones that I've attended, I actually am the most impressed with this one in terms of what you're actually giving back to the community. And, it sounds like a really good idea. If you said we're going to take one more, I'd say let it be this one. However, I don't know how familiar any of you are with this map, but if you can see it, there's a dense concentration of currently operating retail cannabis establishments, BCB approved ones pending application, and they're all 15 of them within a mile of our apartment, and most of them within half a mile. And I feel like, there are buffer zones for a reason. The buffer zones, one of the reasons I would assume is to protect neighborhoods from becoming kind of the go-to drug place, legal or otherwise. It's just, I don't think it's fair to one neighborhood when you look at South End, South Boston, Seaport, Beacon Hill, North End with nothing, like none. Why don't people go to some of those neighborhoods? So I'll make this short. I just, if you said we're going to take, at least one more, I'd say this is a good one, but I don't want any more. I feel like it's too much. It's unfair. And a lot of our residents, more than 100 of us met recently. It's overwhelming, and we feel a little bit like the people who are supposed to be protecting us, the government officials that we've elected, aren't looking out for us. This isn't fair. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lynn. Next hand I see is James Finney.
Hello, how you doing? My name is James Finney. I live on Gray Street. Growing up watching Michael Bivins take control of the music industry, and now coming back helping Eric get into this business is impressive. And I'm happy to know Eric. I'm happy to see that Michael Bivins is coming back and helping him. And I'm in support of this location and this business. And knowing Eric, he never stopped giving information to people who needs it, especially in this business. So I am in full support of this business. Thank you.
Thank you. Next hand is Mario.
Thank you. My name is Mario Signori, Green Line Boston and Green Flash Delivery Group on Southampton Street, Roxbury. I'd like to say there is a strong need for new businesses, especially businesses that promote the arts, to fill empty storefronts, invest in the area, and appeal to modern day crowds in Faneuil Hall. This location has been sitting empty for 5 years. And the approval of this project would be great for business development and the creation of new jobs. I believe this area of Faneuil Hall can support multiple dispensaries, just like multiple bars. And I support the leadership team behind Soul Cannabis to do this the right way. I'd also like to mention, I didn't oppose and I didn't see this many questions or concerns earlier about a multi-state delivery operator that's been in business in Mass in multiple states coming into Boston, violating buffer zones and being even closer to another dispensary and almost the same distance to another Black-owned social equity delivery operator who is actually from Boston. I think that buffer zones are archaic, they need to go, and I think that an opportunity like this would be nothing but positive for Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Next hand is Darrell.
How you doing? My name is Darrell Slim Weathers. I'm the director of Voices of Liberation. Also a storefront owner in Jamaica Plain. I also passed the tracking method for commercial vacancy. So with Kenzie Buck, and also a resident of Beacon Hill. So I could tell you that slave trade's been down there forever. I could tell you that it's been uncomfortable. It hasn't been no Black businesses down there. And just to say I'm full support Soul Cannabis because they do have a track record of insuring people. I know Eric personally, and I truly believe in this initiative. I truly believe in this great company that's about to explode and expand and bring some more help Black people monetize off their gifts. In the third most gentrified city in America, it's hard to go in the layers of how much we need this and how much we need it as our people in the city and Black people especially. It's no if it ends. I'm in full support, and anybody against this is just absolutely crazy. We have 7 liquor stores in our district. Why can't we have 7 cannabis dispensaries down there?
Thank you. Next we have Albie.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate your time. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Albie Montgomery. I'm a Boston resident, born and raised. I actually work with Eric on a few different projects. So one thing I do know is he's a very serious person, and I really believe in anything that he says he's going to do, that he is going to truly do it, because I've seen him work before. So what he has going on is something different and something great and something that we should really take note of and witness what's going on right here, because we have the opportunity to see something great happening for the city of Boston as it expands. And as I talk about things expanding, if we look back to 1995, there weren't a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts, there weren't a bunch of Starbucks downtown. If we look back to 2005, there weren't any. Just like this thing's expanding, there's cannabis expands. So you're gonna see more stores. I think the most important thing is that we keep it away from kids and in that environment. But you're gonna see more stores as things go on. But that's business, and that's how business works. As far as Eric, one thing I have noticed is he came back to the board maybe about 5 months ago. And me being in the economic empowering place, it's very hard for us, first of all, to get into the space. And then to wait 5 months, we're carrying rents that can cost anywhere from 20 grand a month, plus the studies you have to have during that period, plus your attorney fees. This is costing you well over $100,000. And 9 times out of 10, it's not our money. It's another investor's money. So when we take these times and we do this to us, it makes us look bad. Like, man, you're costing me another 100,000. And it's so hard for us to gain trust from investors as a Black entrepreneur, and especially in this space. So I just think that that we really take a look at this and see how important this is, but give this brother the opportunity, because not only he's going to have the opportunity, there are going to be other dispensaries as the years go on. When we start looking at year 5, year 10, and year 15, and to top it off, it's still going to take him about 18 months to get the market easily. So it's not like he's going to get approved today and he opens tomorrow. No, it's a time, and this takes time. So just because you approve him today, that doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to see him there. It's going to take time. That's one thing we know. And we listened to Cleon earlier. He said in 2020, he sat up with you guys and he's still not approved. So we know it's so hard for us. So
This is an opportunity that could work. This is an opportunity that when we look back in time, we'll be say, as Boston residents will say, man, this was a great opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Dwayne.
Hey, thank you. I was just chiming in to show support for and to chime in on what it is to be a social equity and raising capital and having to come back and forth. And it really is difficult to raise capital to actually get open. So anything we can do at this stage to support each other as social equity in this process, that's what it needs to be done. And I'd like to say thank everybody for coming in and showing their support. Seems like the last one, and I look forward to seeing it open up in Faneuil Hall. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Dwayne. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? No, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Those are the matters before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place next Tuesday, March 21st at 1 p.m. Next Tuesday, not Wednesday. The information to access the voting hearing is on our website, boston.gov/cannabis. Again, the record will be kept open until Monday, March 20th at 5 p.m. Thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.